The Superbike Show on Motorsport Radio.
Hey everyone, Bradley Smith.
Hi guys, I'm Danny Buchan.
Hi, I'm Tom Sykes.
This is Motorsport Radio.
Hello and welcome to another Superbike show here on Motorsport Radio. My name is Lester and we're going to be here for the next couple of hours talking everything from MotoGP, Moto2, Moto3, the latest in BSB. Plus, we've got World Superbike reviews as well, and finding out whether the bookies are right to make the title already a foregone conclusion. We'll get your views on that a little bit later. Already people writing Ray off, but maybe that'll be a mistake. Again, views on that later, because I'm sure there might be some big views about that. Plus, yes, all the latest from testing at Silverstone in BSB as the championship thunders into action, just days away now, and we want to get your thoughts on who will win 2019 BSB championship and why. Why do you think that? And what's going on with the BMWs? A lot of concern that they've left testing a little bit late. Well, they were out at Cadwell recently, and we'll tell you more about that later, basically a lot later, because we've got a lot to talk about in this show, plus everything else. And we want to welcome onto the show this evening, it's please welcome Liam Hodgins. Hello there, Liam. Oh, sorry, didn't have your mic on. Carry on.
Typical, it's like, the Leicester show tonight. I'm kidding on Leicester. I'm great. How about yourself?
Kind of busy, exhausted, doing stuff, getting ready for the season, etc. And it's not long to go now for BSB, is there? It's literally just round the corner. I get that feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, literally just around the corner. I'm buzzing for it. 2018 was amazing. 2019, we hope and we pray. And I've got a sneaky suspicion it could be just as good or even better.
That'll be, there's another debate to be had, I think, about BSB, which was your favourite title of all time. But that's, as I say, another debate for another time, and a lot of people maybe the usual suspects maybe getting involved in the debate on that one. Maybe we can talk about it later on the show. Anyway, so on with the show tonight, and you can get in touch with us, by the way, because we are definitely live all evening. The way to get in touch with us is by tweeting us at msportradio, or you can use the hashtag on Twitter, The Superbike Show, or should we just call it Superbike Show? Might be easier. What do you think, Liam?
I think I've already tweeted it up, The Superbike Show, so we'll go hashtag Superbike Show. Why not?
There you go.
Get rid of the.
Exactly. No need for a the. So it is hashtag Superbike Show here this evening, and we are definitely live. Liam on Twitter is
at Liam Hodgins Prez. So I was going to put it presenter from my radio stuff, but it wouldn't allow me. So you could interpret it as a presenter or present.
Or president.
I am presently here, so who knows.
President of the Scottish Bikes, all of Scottish Bikes, I don't know. But Liam Hodgins tonight on the show. Ed Hocknell is having a bit of a rest this evening, so good evening, Ed. And so he'll be joining us hopefully in future shows once again. But ways to get in touch with us tonight. It's at msport radio on Twitter, Motorsport Radio on the Facebooks as well, and you can leave just a comment in the comments box below wherever you're tuned into this live. Just literally in the comments box below. And we want to know exactly what you think about what we're going to talk about, which is, first of all, Liam, it's MotoGP.
Yes, MotoGP is back at the Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas this weekend. It's round number 3, and well, it is the happy hunting ground of Marc Marquez. Basically, a bit like an old Western. What he does is he rocks up into town, does his stuff, and then rides off into the sunset. Typical Marc Marquez fashion, pretty much. So he is targeting his 7th straight win at the Circuit of the Americas this weekend, and get this, his 13th straight win in America. Now, we've got to go back to Indianapolis 2010 when he was in the 125 class, the last time that Marc Marquez never won in America. So ever since then, he started his run a year later in Indianapolis in Moto2 class, and he's just won when he's either gone to Laguna Seca, Indianapolis, or ever since 2013, his first ever win in MotoGP when he came up as a 20-year-old at the Circuit of the Americas round when it was round number 2. So yeah, it's going to be super difficult for anyone to beat him this weekend. But it's MotoGP. We never know.
Well, yeah, anything can happen, and just because it might be a happy hunting ground maybe for him, it doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that everybody else doesn't have a shot, basically, because anything can happen.
Yeah, absolutely. If someone can get the jump on him right at the start, then you never know. It might ruffle a few feathers in Marquez's bandwagon. We'll go with that. Keep it on with Marc Marquez. He believes that his biggest challenger, Andrea Dovizioso, is going to be a much more difficult opponent this year than he was in 2018. As I remember back to the early part of 2018, he had a couple of crashes, a bit of a down period at the start to the middle of the season with a few crashes, a bit of subpar performances, but he started 2019 very well, won in Qatar once again, scored a third place at Argentina, his first podium there since 2015, and we might be able to see him back it up with another podium position this weekend. And the last time he was on the podium at Kota, his only other podium at Kota was back in 2015 when he finished second to Marc Marquez, just in front of Valentino Rossi in third. So he'll be hoping that the turn of fortune for Ducati at the circuits they're not very good at will continue coming into Austin this weekend. And Marc Marquez, literally about an hour and a half ago, was asked about the handshake between himself and Valentino Rossi just before the podium ceremony in Argentina. And this was a great wee quote from Marc Marquez. He said, I'm going to sort of paraphrase it, but this is kind of what it went like. Like when you kiss a girl, I did it. It was a special moment. And then Rossi replied when, yeah, he had a great race. Sort of passing it off a little bit. It's just something not much that happened. So still the rivalry goes on between them. Marc Marquez says he has no issue with Valentino Rossi. Yeah, no, there's a niggling point there that Valentino Rossi was Marc Marquez's hero growing up. Then they had a bit of a feud in 2015, and then there's been a bit of a clash in between them ever since then, which means they've never really got back on the same terms again.
Well, can I just ask, was that quote, because I didn't see it happen in real time, that what you said that Marquez said, but was that perhaps a badly translated quote, maybe? Or did he actually say that in English? It seems.
I think it was. I think it might have been a Spanish or an Italian website. I think it was GP1.com that picked it up.
Oh yeah.
Maybe it was just before the press conference, but yeah, he said it. But you always know when Marc Marquez is asked about something that happened between him and Valentino, he always says he never has much of an issue. And when he says it was like kissing a girl, I just did it, which meant that he didn't really think about it. He just sort of went for the hand, stuck his hand out. Valentino reciprocated it. Shake of the hands. Nothing much to it. It's not something we should read into.
No, yeah,
it's
definitely
it's just a mutual respect thing between racers, which is all good.
Get that image out. Anyway, carry on.
Yeah, so I just thought the quote was quite funny when I read it, but it might be a badly translated translation. Moving on to Alex Rins now, and he is targeting a better qualifying because his qualifying so far this year hasn't been that brilliant. His one in Qatar wasn't too bad, but he qualified in 16th place in Argentina and managed to recover to a brilliant 5th position, finishing just a couple of seconds off of the podium. So maybe if he qualifies better, he might have a chance of scoring a podium position, because if he can do that, then he stands a great chance of fighting it up with Marc Marquez. Well, if Marc Marquez doesn't run off into the sunset, Andrea Dovizioso, Valentino Rossi, Maverick Vinales, the likes of them as well, Cal Crutchlow. So that is his main focus for this weekend, is targeting a better time attack pace, as he said it. So we might see him and Suzuki working towards qualifying pace, which might in turn maybe take away some of the race pace, because if they're focusing solely on qualifying, then it might make the race pace drop a little bit. But then again, the Suzuki's race pace so far this season, as it was at the end of 2018, was absolutely brilliant. So it's going to be interesting to see how that goes on. The person that was in 2nd position in Argentina, Valentino Rossi, believes that the Circuit of the Americas is the most difficult and technical circuit of the season. Now, it's a circuit that Yamaha and himself have kind of gone well on. He's had 2 podium positions, 3rd in 2015 and 2nd in 2017, and he's been finishing sort of round about the top 5 the years that he didn't finish on the podium. So they do quite well there. He's targeting another strong result. He's had a pretty good start to the 2019 season by his own admission. 5th place in Qatar, only 0.6 off the win. 9.5 seconds off the win in Argentina, but he still finished in 2nd, which is still good for him. So we might see himself and Maverick Vinales on the other Yamaha have another strong weekend. And talking of Maverick Vinales, he believes that he has nothing to lose going into this weekend and will go all out in the Circuit of the Americas. And he feels that his poor starts are down to a clutch system with the Yamaha. Now, it's a bit strange that it's only taken him 2 years to figure this out, since he's been there since the start of 2017, but he believes that for the first few rounds in 2017, he was unbeatable, but from a few errors from his team and himself, then it sort of drifted away. So he's looking to try and improve on the start system and look into what could be done with the clutch on the Yamaha, because he said that when he was at Suzuki, he always made places up in the start when he was over there. And looking back to around about 2015, 2016, when he did qualify quite far down the grid, he always did get a great start. So maybe it is something down to the clutch system on the Yamaha. We've got to look back to, I think, 2014, when Valentino Rossi was having clutch problems on his Yamaha, and he just went out all the time and just practiced his starts, eventually until he found the odd issue with the clutch, and then they improved it for further rounds. So
what do you think? Is it maybe just sounding like excuses from him?
Yes and no, because Valentino Rossi always makes places up at the start, but then again, he doesn't qualify as well as Maverick Vinales most of the time. So, but he always ends up in front of Maverick Vinales on the first lap. So it's hard to tell. I mean, racers always have excuses. I'll race once, I always had excuses, still do whenever I get beaten in a game or something. So whenever you don't win, or you've not lived up to expectation, you'll always come up with the excuse. Whether that is true or not, we won't really know, but I believe there's probably some truth in there, that it's maybe something to do with the clutch system on the Yamaha. Maybe not that it's an issue, but maybe that he hasn't figured out the best way of launching it off the line and getting the best start. So maybe it's something to do with Maverick Vinales and him trying to work the system himself. And finally, for the MotoGP, I just lost my voice there. And finally, for for the Ducatis, Lamborghini will become the title sponsor of the Pramac Ducati this weekend.
Heard about that.
So yes, they've released a nice wee image of it. It looks really quite cool. So the Lamborghini it's the sort of colour scheme where the blue is usually. It sort of fades into Lamborghini black and gold, and it looks really quite cool. So that's definitely a colour scheme to look out for this weekend. You never know, maybe if it goes well this weekend, they might partnership further down the line as the season goes on.
I think it's a no, because of Ducati and Philip Morris and the link there. I think if I'm right, and I'm could be very wrong on this, but isn't former Ferrari Formula One boss Stefano Domenicali the head of Lamborghini at the moment? Am I right in thinking that?
He is, or he was, until the start of this year. I know that he's on the coverage of Formula One's Channel 4.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if he's still part of that.
Well, he was, as you say, until recently. And I'm just thinking maybe, because that link up there with the Lamborghini and it's all...
Yeah, it could be all a tie-in. Yeah, now that Philip Morris has now got more of a tie-in, or he's sort of showing it physically on the Ducatis with the Mission Renault, then maybe the tie-in with that's working a little bit more closely. We won't really know, but it will be something to maybe keep an eye on within the MotoGP paddock, because someone will try and figure out what it all means, but maybe it's just because in that part of the country in America, the Lamborghinis are quite popular, quite
well, they do make a good product. Yay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I definitely wish I had a Lamborghini sitting outside my house at the moment.
Don't bother. They're not going to sell it.
Great cars. And finally, to end on a nice wee note, you might agree with this, you might not, but the 2006 world champion Nicky Hayden's number 69 will be retired this weekend in a presentation on the start-finish line at the Circuit of the Americas. And his 2006 title-winning Repsol Honda RC211V will be on that presentation, and we'll get to see that along with his family, obviously his brothers Tommy, Lee and Oh, the other one I always forget as well. Apologies. Roger Hayden, sorry. Roger Lee Hayden and Tommy had successful racing careers over in America, winning the Supersport championships over there. They will be on the grid as well, along with his mum and dad, Errol and Rose, and just a great wee family. The Hayden family were always really close and always great fun to be part of the MotoGP. And it's going to be a shame. Obviously, they're going to retire number 69, and unfortunately, Nicky Hayden won't be there to see it. So, but it's a great wee tribute to Nicky Hayden once again, and the number 69, Ride On Kentucky Kid, as they say, will be riding on forever with his number 69.
Good decision. I don't think it was a huge shock. I think it was already kind of being rumoured before the season, but it's been made official now. So
yeah, I know some people. It's a hard one to guess because there's a lot of numbers retiring in MotoGP at the moment. For example, 65 by Loris Capirossi has been retired. 58 Marco Simoncelli, Daijiro Kato 74. When Lorenzo retires, 99 will go. When Rossi retires, 46 will go. When Marquez retires, 93 will go. And I think Danny Pedrosa's 26 might be retired at some point as well. I think I've heard a couple of wee rumours about that.
I mean, you can't retire every number though, can you?
I know.
At some point, there's going to be enough amazing, brilliant riders who are either no longer with us or have retired, etc. And then we've got to retire every number from 1 to 50 or something. But, you know, where does it stop? But yes, I'm not disagreeing with any of the decisions. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I get the disagreements of retiring a number because maybe retire for a certain amount of time, then bring it back. Because if some young gun comes through and then wants to run number 34 for Kevin Schwantz or number 46 for Valentino Rossi,
or what if there's another like Marquez who also like wants the same number like 20 years down the line.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, for example, Danny Kent ran 52 because of James Toseland, and it was the exact same font that James Toseland used to use. So it's sort of carrying that memory of James Toseland. Not saying James Toseland has passed on or gone away from, he's still with us, but it's quite good to maybe keep that number carrying on. But
I thought you meant Danny. We should retire Danny Kent.
No, not at all. No, Danny Kent's still a great rider, and we'd love to see him back.
Yes, certainly. If it is only in BSB anyway. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Anyway, moving very quickly on. This is the Superbike Show. It is Motorsport Radio, and we are taking your comments and any questions and any disagreements, if you have any. So if you've heard something that we've said on the show, like I don't know, something to do with retiring numbers, for example, I don't know, then you can get in touch with us. Use the comments box wherever you're tuned in to us right now, whether it's on motorsport.radio or elsewhere, I don't know, Twitter, Facebook, Twitch. Don't forget Twitch, we're on there as well. The YouTubes, we're on there, and lots of other different places. A couple of comments already coming in. I'll get promoting the show later on. But Kim Hollings of AJK Television, who won a Motorsport Award in 2018 for the Best Production Company. Hello, Kim. Who says, good evening, Lester. And I'm sure he says good evening to you as well, Liam.
Hello.
Hello, Kim. And hello, Chris Howells as well. Regular listener says evening. And I'm not sure exactly where Chris lives, but another Hollings been on as well. Anthony Hollings says evening, guys. So we've got all the Hollingses tuned in
hello.
This evening. So Chris Howells asks regarding the retiring numbers thing. When do you think we'll be racing with like letters? Because if we're going to run out of numbers because they're all retired, and that's actually is it a good point? I don't know. Maybe it's. I guess it is a good point. I don't think they would ever retire the amount of numbers that we would have to run letters one day. 93B, for example.
Yeah, I mean, if they do retire enough numbers, then they've never gone past number 99, so you could just go into the triple numbers, for example, because I always found it weird when Neil Hodgson came over to MotoGP and he never used his number 100, it was number 50. I was like, why is that? And then it dawned on me that no one ran over the number 99. So for some reason, I'm not sure why it is. I don't know if there's an official rule why they just use double digits instead of triple digits. Maybe it's just for ease of figuring out who everyone is. Maybe it fits better on a spreadsheet or something, or maybe on the timing monitors, the captions on the screen. But if they retire enough of the numbers, then you never know. They could use letters, but it'd be a bit. So it'd be, I don't know, maybe T1 and T2 battling for the lead of the race if it was like Repsol Hondas or something.
And what's the limit on numbers? How high can you go? Can you have like 4 numbers on there? I mean, could you get potentially 6 numbers? I mean, where does the madness end, honestly?
Numbers are infinity, so we could go as far as we want if we let them.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Anyway, I mean, maybe one rider will do a deal with a sponsor which might end up with their rider number being 1 million, for example. Just an example. I don't know, but as I say, where do we? If you know the answer, if there is actually a technical reason, then do get in touch. Right then, Liam. So, question. This weekend, will Marquez win?
Yes.
Okay.
Easy.
Right.
I say that because, I know anything can happen in MotoGP, but Marquez has just looked terrifyingly on rails around Kota for a number of years now.
Well, you say that he's going to fly off and have a big incident there.
If Mark Marquez crashes out the lead of the race, I hope he hasn't watched this or listened to this because I'm really sorry, Mark, but I can't see past anyone. The only person that could beat Mark Marquez is Mark Marquez. I can't see anyone getting close to him because I sometimes feel like for the first few laps of Kota, he just sort of rides around and just happy-go-lucky and just teasing us a little bit that we might get a bit of a race, but then as soon as he hits the front by about lap 6 or 7, he's away. He's gone.
He's making it look scarily easy, yes. That's that's a question, I suppose, that we could put to everybody, I suppose. Will Marc Marquez do what he's done very successfully so far and win this weekend as well to add to his tally?
He will want to keep his record at Kota untarnished because no one has ever won at Kota apart from him in the MotoGP class. From 2013 to 2018, it's always been him. So he's gunning for his 7th win, and that'll put him on equal terms with Valentino Rossi, who'd done the same at Mugello from 2002 to 2008. So not many people have done this, or many riders have done this in the same class on the same circuit.
Pretty hot on your stats today, Liam, I see.
Not as good as last week's.
Yeah. The question, I suppose, that we're asking really, will Marc Marquez win? I'm going to say no, he won't. Not to be contrary and say the exact opposite, but mostly because of that, to be honest. Because at one point, his run is going to end, isn't it?
Yeah,
and
it will end
this
at some
weekend.
point.
It might be. It's going to end sooner rather than later. That's what I'm saying.
I think what we need. I think Argentina is always a good indication of how strong Marc Marquez is going to be in Kota, and he ran away with the race in Argentina by his biggest winning margin in dry conditions. So it could have been bigger than last year if it wasn't for all the kerfuffle and mess ups that he made in 2018 at Argentina. Yeah. But when it came to Kota, he ran away with that again. Yeah. He was chased down a little bit by Andrea Iannone in the Suzuki, but I just think it'll be another romp by Marc Marquez this weekend.
Yeah, Chris Howell's been back on, and he's suggesting that you might have made a bit of a commentator's curse, Liam. On if Liam didn't, anyway, I certainly I don't know if it was a curse, but and I'm not wishing that he won't win. I'm just like saying that on balance, if someone's incredible run of dominating a race since, when did you say, 2013?
2013, yes.
Is from then to now, it's more likely the case on balance. Ask any bookie, I suppose. That your run is going to come to an end sooner rather than later. So I think it might be this weekend, and that's why I'm going to say he will not win. Don't know who will, but I'm going to say it won't be Marquez.
You could you'd do well to put money on Marc Marquez winning this weekend, but the odds would be really short, so you wouldn't really get much back for winning. So that's how well he does in Kota. So if you want to maybe make a bit of money, maybe to bet against someone like, I don't know, maybe Jorge Lorenzo for this weekend. He's not been doing too great, but then again, he could always turn it around. You know how Jorge Lorenzo can go from 15th one weekend in the past couple of years to winning the next. So yeah, we could see Jorge Lorenzo maybe chat.
Well, I'm just having a look at the old standings now. He's not in the top 10.
He is on 7 points, which, if memory serves me correctly, and I pointed this out last weekend, he has more points than he did at the start of 2017 and 2018 when he was on the Ducati. So yeah, but the start of 2019 has been doing a little bit better.
I don't know. He's 1 point behind Joan Mir. and 2 points ahead of Morbidelli. He's in 12th place at the moment. Yes, I don't know how injured he is compared to how injured he was at the start of the season. I don't know, to be perfectly honest. Has he said he's no longer injured?
He's not really come out and said anything about that this week, but we can imagine he's had another 2 weeks off, so his injuries will probably be a little bit better than they were at Argentina 2 weeks ago, and considerably better than they were at Qatar 3 weeks before that. So he's had 5 weeks since he injured broke his top rib on the right-hand side, and it's been, 2 months now, a month and a half, 2 months since he broke his scaphoid. So
that was it.
Scaphoids take ages to heal, but
is that like when you're playing Football Manager and your star striker gets like a cruciate ligament injury and he's out for the season? You're like, damn it! I just paid like 50 million for him.
I wouldn't know. I don't play football games.
No, neither do I.
I don't play football. I don't watch football. So, hey, when it comes to football, I'm the worst person to ask about it.
Glaswegian there. It's Liam Hodgins.
I like to stay out of that rivalry completely.
Good luck. Anyway, so we've decided it's one vote for yes and the other vote for no, as to whether Marc Marquez will indeed win this weekend at the Circuit of Americas, a name which almost nobody else uses apart from me.
Yeah, that's it. Everyone else uses Kota.
Yeah, well, they shouldn't.
What we do.
Anyway, even Kota uses... damn it, I did it. Anyway, so you are listening to The Superbike Show. Hello and welcome. My name is Lester. We've got Liam Hodgins here on the show this evening. And time is rumbling away because we've got lots and lots and lots and lots, Liam, to talk about, including, but not limited to, World Superbikes. We'll go on a bit of I'm sorry, Eurosport, but I've got some things that I need to get off my chest and let you know about your supposed on-demand player. But we'll do that later.
The Superbike Show on Motorsport Radio.
Hey everyone, Bradley Smith.
Hi guys, I'm Danny Buchan.
I am Tom Sykes.
This is Motorsport Radio.
And we are definitely live this evening, and a big hello to everybody who's tuned in as well on the Facebooks. Andrew Hall, who gives a big shout out to Ben and Jordan from Jones Darling Racing, doing the No Limits Endurance Race at Cadwell Park on Saturday. So good luck to those guys and everybody else who's involved in the No Limits racing and championships and the endurance racing as well, and to the No Limits themselves. Hello, good evening, folks. And this is the Superbike Show, and we now move swiftly and smoothly on to talk about Moto 2 because, we've got a bit of news. Have we, Liam? Do we have?
Yeah, a good bit of news. Quickly on Sam Lowes. Sam Lowes coming into this weekend feeling really confident, even after his crash in Argentina a couple of weeks ago. But you might remember that he won his first ever Moto2 race here in 2015 on the speed-up chassis, the unpreferred speed-up chassis back then, which still isn't too preferred nowadays. But his best result, his best starting position in the whole of 2018 came at Kota 1 year ago. So he is looking really confident, feeling very confident, and saying the bike is working absolutely brilliantly at the moment. He's enjoying himself on it, so we could be seeing a brilliant weekend, a top weekend coming from Sam Lowes. So moving on to a bit of news that will be really good for a few people to hear. Matteo Pessini, the person that missed out on a ride, the Italian veteran, will be returning this weekend to the Cito Pons team, replacing Augusto Fernandez, who unfortunately had a nasty crash. I don't know if you saw this, but coming through the final corner of the lap at Argentina, the back end, it was basically like a bucking bronco that you would get in Texas, and it just threw him over the handlebars, and he had a double fracture on his left arm. So he will be back in action, hopefully pretty soon, but he's had surgery on the arm. It went successfully, so we will be back, hopefully seeing him back quite soon. But it's fantastic to see Matteo Pessini come back, because he's definitely someone that should be in the Moto2 class. He didn't have a great season in 2018, but you might remember that he did challenge, or was challenging for wins nearly week in, week out in 2017, and picked up 2 wins in that season. So he missed out on an Italtrans ride. He missed out on the MV Agusta ride for 2019. So it's going to be fantastic to see him back, and in a team that has so far won both races with Lorenzo Baldassarri on the opposite end of the garage. So if he can get up to speed quickly, you never know. You might see a Matteo Pessini win a couple of races again just before Augusto Fernandez comes back. More replacement rider news, or unfortunately no replacement rider in this sense. Nicolo Biliga is going to miss this race. He is suffering from severe arm pump. He will undergo surgery to relieve the pain and the pressure, so he will hopefully just miss at least a round or maybe two. And last round, you might remember that he retired from the race with about 5 laps to go. That was no engine issue or bike issue or him crashing out. It was actually him coming in because he was suffering from such severe arm pump that he couldn't ride anymore. So I've never had an arm pump, but I've heard what it's like, and it's basically that it's like a bag around your muscle. I could be wrong about this, but I sort of remember when Danny Pedrosa was having his issues a few seasons ago, where the muscle expands, but the bag around the muscle doesn't, so it sort of keeps it enclosed in the muscle enclosed in this bag, and it just tightens up to excruciating pain, to the point when you're racing a motorbike for such a long race that the arm goes numb, which could be dangerous not only for yourself, but obviously if you're in a pack of riders, for the other riders around you. So it's good that he's getting that treated to, and fingers crossed that we will see Nicolo Biliga, who is on the other bike, the Sky VR46 in Moto2, back within next round or two.
Someone actually told me and taught me through what they actually do when they have the medical procedure for arm pump, and it is pretty gruesome. But I forgot exactly what they sort of do in I don't know if they cut parts of you or just like relieve a bit. I forgot anyway.
I think what they do is they cut the tissue. I keep saying it's a bag, it's a tissue.
Yeah. And
it sort of allows the muscle to expand more, and the tissue will eventually heal itself, but yeah, it doesn't sound too great at all. With Danny Pedrosa a couple of years ago, you might remember that he had that whole tissue actually removed. It was a surgery that no one had ever done before. They said that it would be bad for his career. It turned out it was a good option, and he came back stronger than he had been for a couple of seasons.
If you do know exactly the procedure, or maybe if you're a medical person, or even a surgeon, and you've done an operation on someone's arm pump thing, don't know why I was doing that, then let us know. I think I just zone out when I'm hearing like gruesome things. I'm like, don't tell me, I don't want to sort of know, even though I sort of do want to know really. But yeah, it's good luck to him anyway,
Yeah, so he's not the only one that had a horrible, gruesome time in Argentina. Stefano Manzi, who was also part of the VR46 Academy a couple of seasons back, and I believe he still is to some certain extent, will be replaced this weekend by Gabriel Ryu. So I say Ryu like I'm asking the question because I'm not exactly sure how to say his final name. But you remember, him. Yeah, Ryu. Ed Hocknell, if he was here, would have corrected me by now because he'll know who this rider is, because he raced the final two races with Team Pericini in World Superbikes in 2018 at Qatar and in Argentina. So he raced there, was the youngest ever rider in World Superbikes. He was the first rider, and I say the youngest, I don't think he was the youngest, but he was the first rider to ever be born after the year 2000 to race in World Superbike. So he is going to be replacing Stefano Manzi this weekend at the Circuit of the Americas. And he was also racing in the World Supersport class this year with Gamar team, and I'm just going to say GEMAR. So that's maybe a say it because I'm completely messing that up. So he will be on the MV Augusta this weekend, and we'll be looking to see how he does in the class. So he has ridden a Moto2 bike before. He had ridden it a few seasons ago in the CEV Championship. So the Moto2 class isn't completely alien to him, but he hasn't ridden the Triumph engine before. Yeah. So it might take a while for him to get his head around that, but it'll be interesting to see how he does at Kota this weekend. And fingers crossed we'll see Stefano Manzi, also Augusto Fernandez, and obviously Nicolo Biliga back before the not too distant future.
Defo, yeah. Hello to Jordan Walker, who's been on. It says he's had to switch over to Facebook to tune into the show as his Xbox crashed in Twitch. But he says, don't worry though, Liam, he's back.
Hey, we had a Twitch. We had a Twitch viewer. There we go.
Yeah, I mean, most weeks I completely forget that we're even on that thing anyway. So Jordan Walker apparently watching us on his telly via Twitch, via Xbox, via the internet.
That's amazing.
So tuning us there. We do visual radio. If you are unlucky enough to be able to see us right now, let's just say face for radio and all that. Hey. But yeah, no, we do stream loads of different places online in audio on motorsport.radio. That's the web address, by the way. Check it out. Loads of articles in the week, not just about bikes, but also about cars as well. Yes, we do talk about Formula One and basically everything. Anything that's interesting in motorsport, then we will do our endeavour to bring it to you. Breaking news and all that sort of stuff. So,
Lester, you're trying to say Formula One is interesting?
It has the potential sometimes to be. Don't go there.
I will look at it. I'm a big Formula One fan myself. I just like to rattle the cage sometimes. It's quite funny.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong. I'd just like to say there's absolutely nothing wrong. It's okay to like both Moto GP and their bikes of other varieties, and also Formula One. So don't worry about that. There's nothing to be ashamed of. I promise.
Not at all.
So anyway, yes, hello, good evening and welcome, especially to everybody tuned in via the BSB and Support Facebook group as well, including Simon Tobias, who says, hi, everyone. Hello to Steve Godfrey, tuned in. Hello, Steve. And also to Paul Vickers. Hello, Paul. A lot being talked about Ryan Vickers. That's his son, and making his debut in BSB next weekend. He's been getting quite a lot of social media attention, let's say. So we'll... I think I've said it before on the show. I don't really want to talk about him too much, just so we don't add extra pressure. Not that he's the sort of guy who sort of publicly feels pressure anyway, but I just don't want to, because we all, I think we do anyway. We all really want him to do really well, and I don't really want to go around saying things like, "Oh, he's going to do fantastically well." Just I don't want to overhype him too much. So, first week for Ryan next week at Silverstone. Good luck. I suppose that's what we should all just say, really. Hello to Luke Lehman, and he's been in touch with comments. I think in support of Jake Dixon. Chris Newman says, "Hey up" or "Hey up." Hey, Chris. And thank you for joining us on the show. We are talking pretty much everything this evening. BSB, MotoGP, Moto2, and now on to Moto3. How is everybody's favourite villain doing?
Romano Fenati. Pretty quiet, actually. Not too much going on with Romano Fenati in this
He's been taken
world.
down a peg, I think, this season, hasn't he? Full peg.
I say that. We could be seeing Romano Fenati back up the top this weekend after finishing 16th place in Argentina, which is not too great for him because he won there a few seasons ago back in 2015. But this will be the 111th Moto3 race, and if you might remember, cast your mind back to 2012, Romano Fenati was in the first ever Moto3 race as a young 15-year-old, and he finished on the podium there. I say podium. I think he might have been fourth, but I think he might have been second, so one of the two.
But obviously, he barged everyone out of the way to actually finish on the podium, pretty much, basically. That's how it went.
He wasn't a bad boy back then. He was quite a quiet wee kid. Went about his business in a quiet manner back then.
Just mildly evil, that's all. It wasn't
We'd say that.
Anyway, sorry, carry on.
Yeah, so Romano Fenati, the previous two times that he was in the Moto3 class, in 2018 he was up in Moto2, but he has won in 2016 and 2017 in his previous two visits. So we could be seeing a Romano Fenati charge through the field without barging people out of the way, Leicester, and back up to first spot. So you never know. You never know what can happen.
Well, it is Moto3, and it is the most exciting championship in the world right now.
It's Moto3. If you've never seen Moto3, I say this every week. I say this every time I'm on Twitter.
Yeah.
Watch Moto3. Watch as many races as you can. Buy all the season reviews just for Moto3 because you get some absolute classics. 2014 was the start of the big sort of 18 riders battling out for the win. Ever since then, you get that pretty much at every single round. So you need to watch it. I did say that I couldn't remember exactly where Romano Fenati finished at Qatar in the first ever Moto3 race. I would love to know. Who knows who actually won that race, because I keep forgetting who won that race back then. So
to the MotoGP website. There we go. They'll know for sure. But yeah, I was at Silverstone last weekend. Totally, this is actually connected to the Moto3. But I was at Silverstone watching a car race, and it was a load of, I think, Caterham cars. And if anyone knows anything about like Caterham racing, there are like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of Caterham cars racing, and there was like 18, 19. 20 different cars, all within. It was literally like the Moto3 version of car racing, and the circuit commentator was going absolutely ballistic. It was like, oh my god, this is the craziest, most unbelievable race I have ever seen in all of my career. I'm like, yeah, you've obviously never seen Moto3 then, have you? So I mean, it was a great race, but it wasn't. Do you know what I mean? I think we're getting really I think we've been spoiled just a tiny bit too much with like just how amazing Moto3 is, and the closeness and the slipstreaming, and like literally any one of 15 riders could win, you know, on the last corner of the last lap, even over the line sort of thing. I think we've been spoiled a bit too much, and now we're sort of like blasé to that type of racing in Moto3 now, maybe.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those things where you're growing up as a kid and you listen to the music of the time, and then about 10, 15 years later you go back and listen to it and go, you know what, I really wish that I appreciated that more at the time. Yeah. So fingers crossed this won't happen with Moto3, because I am worried that maybe in Moto3 you'll look back at it and go, wow, how good was that era between 2014 and 2019 when it was just all action, 18 riders battling out for the win, and now it's sort of breakaways like the 125s were in their later days. So fingers crossed that never happens, because we love Moto3, and please Moto3 and the organisers keep it the way it is, because brings us on to our next couple of points absolutely perfectly, because not only is Moto3 massively unpredictable for its battling, but it's massively unpredictable who's going to be the winners, because the last 7 races I've seen 7 different winners, and there's been 3 brand new winners in the last 3 races. So it's just pure unpredictability and so much fun to actually watch as well. So, and there's been 10 different podium finishers in the last 4 Moto3 races, and it's as we're saying, it's the best championship in the world. So I can't imagine would ever get that in anything else. And coming back to one last wee thing, the wee stats, and someone else that goes really well at Circuit of the Americas is Aaron Canet. Now he always goes well at Circuit of the Americas, but seems to never win the race. A couple of years ago, he managed to crash out of the lead of the race when he looked odds-on favourite to win it, because he was about half a second a lap faster than everyone else that had practice and qualifying. So if he stays on it this year, we know that he's got a great mentor in Max Biaggi. He's in the Max Biaggi team, so he might be able to eventually translate that pace and his fantastic ability around the Circuit of the Americas into a race win this year, which is definitely something that he'll be hoping to do. Lester?
Yeah, well, good luck with that. Yeah, I have no opinion, to be honest. I try not to get too involved. I mean, well, obviously we like to stick up for the Brits, who are doing well. Talking of which, how are the Brits doing? McPhee,
Yeah, unfortunately, John McPhee did crash out of the last race, but he did say that it was a crash with Lopez going down the back straight at Argentina, which caused his rear brake to stop working. And when he went into one of the last corners, the last hairpin, the last braking zone of the track, he did try and go for the rear brake, which meant that he couldn't slow the bike down quick enough, even though he was still on the front brake. But his late braking point meant that he was trying to use the rear brake going into the corner. It didn't slow the bike down enough, and unfortunately he crashed out, taking out Vince Perez as well at the same time. So that's unfortunate for him. But Tom Boothamos is coming on, and he's felt that he made a massive step forward in Argentina. He didn't finish in the points. He finished just outside the points in 18th. But once again, as I said last week, he doesn't know these tracks yet. When we come back to Europe and Jerez and France and Mugello and Catalonia, you'll know those tracks a little bit more, and we could start seeing Tom Boothamos inside the points. And the way that John McPhee went last weekend, or a couple of weekends ago in practice, topping a few of the sessions, he's looking really good in that bike this year. And that Sepang International team is absolutely brilliant in all three classes. So very professional setup, and John McPhee is absolutely loving the experience right now. So yeah, it was just a fortunate wee incident that happened at Argentina, so we could see the Brits doing a lot better at the Circuit of the Americas this weekend.
Hopefully, yes. Let's hope for McPhee to put his outside issues, because I think it's mostly been bad luck and getting involved in incidents, I think, for him so far. So let's just hope, this weekend he can have a nice clean ride, and as you say, maybe Tom Booth Amos can start to sort of settle down properly and sort of show people what he can really do. So hopefully, yes, that will happen. A few shouts coming in for Toba or Kaito Toba. How are we saying it?
Yes, Kaito Toba.
Don't be racist. Toba. Simon Tobias says Toba is pretty good. I don't know if that's just because their last names sound similar. But yeah, we agree anyway.
Absolutely. Kaito Toba is absolutely brilliant, and I was so pleased to see him win at Qatar in the first round this year.
Yeah, certainly. And a big hello to Scott Cooper, who's tuned into the show, and to... put my teeth in, and to Kenneth Crossley as well, tuned in, and Scott McLennan, who suggests, according to Scott, he has some hot off the press BSB news, apparently.
Oh.
He says, I have some hot off the press and a first in BSB series as far as I can recall. So, Scott, spill the beans. What is it? What have you got? Or are you just trolling us? But that's what Scott says on the BSB and support group, Facebook group. So we'll wait to see if he comes up with any goods. We'll have to verify it before we announce it. By the way, hello to Lee Parks as well, tuned in, and David Watson and Mark Lewis, and so loads of people already tuned into the show, and Blake Gibbons, hello, usual listener. This is the Superbike Show, if you didn't know already, and my name is Lester, and Liam Hodgins is all the way up in Scotland, and how's that Scotland working out for you then?
It's actually doing pretty well. We've had a lot of nice sunshine the last few days, so can't really complain.
A scorching -2 degrees. Up there in Scotland. No,
it's been +1. Yeah, it's not been too bad. It's short and t-shirt weather's up here now.
Oh wow! So it is like at least freezing. Then that's cool. No, I kid. I love Scotland. Anyway, so yeah, the Superbike Show. Because we're live every Thursday, usually, normally. Well, we are now anyway. You can leave us a comment in the comments box below. If you tuned into us or downloaded us as a podcast or audio download, then you can still get involved in the show, because we do definitely read all your nice comments, and we throw the bad ones in the bin. Where are we?
Please be nice.
So, you can get in touch with us at M Sport Radio. We're keeping a monitor on the hashtag Superbike Show this evening. So, any interesting pictures, any bits of breaking news that you want to tell us about, that you can tag us on Twitter using the hashtag Superbike Show, or you can just jump on Facebook or dive into my DMs.
Dropping into your DMs, Lester.
Exactly. So, hello, Lee Parks, who's... just giving us a shout out. Hello, Lee. Thanks for tuning in. This is Motorsport Radio. If you've never tuned into Motorsport Radio before, this is basically what we do. We talk about motorsport, and not just bikes, and not just MotoGP, for example, but also cars. Yes. Check out the website for more details. Motorsport.radio. What is it, Liam?
At motorsport.radio.
Exactly. Yes, literally just that. I keep getting asked when I'm giving out like my email address. It's Lester@motorsport.radio. It's like, and no, it's just motorsport.radio. Oh right, so you got a new Anyway. Moto3. I think it's almost pointless me asking you who you think will win.
Oh, I love these. These are good fun. Who would I go for this time? So we've had 7
this is just pick a random name. It could literally be anyone.
Yeah, who's not won? We've had Jame Masia win last time out. We've had Kaito Toba so far this year. We could see Romano Fenati, because he's won the last 2 times in the Moto3 class. Who would I go for? You know what? I'm going to back him up. John McPhee will take the win this weekend.
Wow.
Go on, John.
John McPhee for the win. The wee win this weekend.
Yeah, the wee McPhee. The wee whiz.
Okay. I'm going to actually say... Who should I say? It's literally just like... literally
get up ahead and just drop it on any point of the paper.
Because the last lap... Although the way that the circuit of the Americas is laid out, I don't think you will get that natural... sweeping onto the start-finish straight, because it's more of a bend and a turn. Whoever goes into there, maybe we'll see some dive bombs and lunges and stuff. I don't know.
I feel like you're about to troll me into having a rant about the Circuit of the Americas track, because I do like having a rant about the track, because in my personal opinion, it's good for car racing with the Indy cars and the Formula One. I
never said anything, to be honest.
But yeah, I know you did, but yeah, I felt like you were sort of teeing me up to maybe
really,
say something.
I mean, since you're talking about it, you might as well carry on.
Okay, so I just don't believe the Circuit of the Americas is a good racetrack for bike racing. It's very stop-start, so it sort of draws out the bigger bikes anyway. Moto3 tends to be okay, but you've got a long back straight, but you've got a first gear, second gear hairpin leading onto it, then another first gear, second gear hairpin after that, then another sort of hairpin after that.
I mean, it's
which leads into another hairpin. And
everyone's got the same challenge, though, and it's for the individual riders to negotiate the technical challenge, and that's literally the definition of like a technical track, because it is so awkward.
Well, it's just very stop and start, and it's sort of stop and start circuits do tend to produce big gaps. It's just a constant. It's a concertina effect. Yes. You sort of concertina to get together and then widen out again. With fast flowing circuits, you can try a sort of series of lines. You might be quicker mid corner, you might be slightly quicker in corner exit. It's a little bit nicer and flowing. It just seems to fast flowing circuits produce good racing. Tight hairpins, first gear corners, bottom end corners, just don't really do that. I
think to be a proper world championship, you need a good mix of everything, and not because if for example, to use IndyCar as an example, if every single race was on an oval, yes, we'd get some good racing, no doubt, and there'd be lots of slipstreaming and everyone's going fast and blah, 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 lots of spectacular action, let's say. But it would be roughly the same week in, week out. It'd all kind of look the same, all basically going round and yada, yada. So you've got to have, in any reputable world championship, a bit of slow corners here and there and knocking about, and it's all
a couple of tight hairpins are not too bad on a circuit, but when it's how many hairpins is there? There's one at turn 1, 27. Then there's one just before the final or the back straight, so that's 2. There's one after the back straight, that's 3. Then there's another one just after that, pretty much 4. Then there's another one before the triple right hander, which is 5. Then you've kind of got a kind of fast corner, penultimate corner, which is quite a horribly
the
hampered
whole
corner.
Circuit is,
and then you've got another hairpin in the last corner, so it's 6 hairpins pretty much.
Yeah, I mean the entire circuit is basically ripped off. Like every single corner is pretty much ripped off from other circuits in the world, aren't they? So
just a lot of hairpins in. It was built mainly for Formula 1 in cars, because as we know, when there's downforce and the cars are going a lot slower in the corners, they can stick a little bit closer together, because the turbulence air off the front of the car in front won't affect the aerodynamic if a car's going below 70 miles an hour, really. But the fast car, the only nice part of the circuit, in my opinion, is the downhill fast right, left, right, left, right, left. That's a great part.
Which is based on the Maggots-Beckett's thing at Silverstone, isn't it? So
that part of the circuit is absolutely brilliant. The rest of it, take it or leave it. The first corner could be okay because it's quite uphill and it's unique in that sense.
It is unique, yes. But there again, you just riled against slow corners.
Yes, but sometimes a unique corner is quite cool. So okay. I would say if there's a hairpin in the circuit that I would keep, it'd be turn 1. Okay.
So there you go. Donna scolded by Liam Hodgins of Scotland.
An angry Scotsman.
No comment. Blake Gibbons has been on, and he said, well, where would you go instead? I guess that's addressed to you, Liam.
That's a good question. I would love to go back to Laguna Seca, but
nope.
The only reason I wouldn't want to go back is because Moto2 and Moto3 don't go there. Indianapolis wasn't great.
Well, plus it's dangerous as well.
Yeah. Road America is a great circuit, but the runoff isn't there, so it'd be completely dangerous for them to go there. Just Road Atlanta, maybe. Motor America go there.
Well, we know one place it definitely won't be going anyway, and that's to the Northern Irish Lake Torrent or Lake Loser, whatever it was. Well, it was never really going to be a thing anyway.
There's a track in the world that could replace Circuit of the Americas, and that's Spa. Now, they have been granted money by the local government to make changes to the circuit as of this week to try and get the World Endurance Championship back by 2022 and MotoGP back by 2024. So there we go.
Yeah, I think as you said, the local government of Wallonia wanted, and this is going back a few years as well. So they've always kind of had their eye on bringing other world championships, just because they might get screwed over by Formula One if F1 decide they don't want to go there, then they're basically screwed as a massive international race circuit. So the various improvements that need to be done there, of which I don't know exactly, remove all the gravel traps maybe. And, lots of things. I'm not a circuit inspector, so I don't know. But I'm told lots of improvements. But that would be a really, really good track, because up until recently, up until at least 2017, they did have like local bike events, just circuit organised endurance events or your local kind of club level bike enduro events and classic bike events. So it is raced on by bikes, but at the very top level, probably need to invest a bit. And I forgot how much exactly they were promised. It was something like 30 million or something.
I think it was 29.5 million euros to make improvements for bike safety.
It's not a lot.
We would hope they would keep Eau Rouge and Raidillon, because that's one of the most iconic corners in the world. I mean,
I don't think they're going to cut any corners out, but it might just be I'm guessing anyway. I am guessing because I think the original tweet was in a different language. The local government of Wallonia, where the circuit of Spa is, seemingly making a pitch to bring, and they didn't specify exactly MotoGP. They never actually said MotoGP, but they did make a reference and a nod to bringing back World Championships, and they have said in the past, in 2017, that they do want MotoGP there. So it could be happening. What do you think about that? If you tuned in, listening live, could MotoGP be a fantastic, if they get the circuit improvements right and do all the necessary yada yadas that they need to do, could that be a brilliant addition to MotoGP? What do you think? Let us know. What do you think, Liam?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the best tracks in the world coming onto the MotoGP calendar. If it comes onto the calendar, then MotoGP will have, in my opinion, the best three tracks in the world, which would be Phillip Island, Mugello, and Spa. So bring it on.
Exactly. Hello from Thailand. It's 2:50 a.m. apparently, according to Kenneth Crossley. I always forget that he, I think, lives over there. I'm not sure of his residential status, but I'm going to guess he lives over there. I always... So sorry, Kenneth, and hello, and thank you, and well done anyway for tuning in. Obviously, filled with insomnia, but we could carry on and do loads of boring gags. I'm just having a quick scan of all the other comments that have flooded in this evening. Could Spa? Realistically, anyway, I mean, there are some. Is it Indonesia? The most recently Lombok Island.
Yeah, Lombok Island and Indonesia. Yes.
My geography, I'm crap. There are already a lot of money being invested, way more than this 30 million euros that Spa are kind of like tinkering. I think that's well not enough, to be perfectly honest. There are already governments and local governments making big investments to entice Dorna's championships. And I say that because World Superbikes have also gone there. And it makes kind of sense, to be honest, for Dorna to do both there at the same time. It might make financial sense. Blake Gibbons, he has commented. Hello, once again, Blake. He has said regarding Spa, actually, it is a good shout. Just thought... about a Formula E track, maybe something like Hong Kong. But there again, Liam, you don't like certain types of circuits, do you?
No, but to be fair, I like Formula E, and Formula E does work on the road courses. So,
any news on Moto E as well? What's happening with that? Is it?
Oh, Moto E is there's still going to be a 5-race calendar, and that will be starting at the Saxon Ring. So it'll be like 2 races at the weekend, starting at the Saxon Ring. So they'll still go to the Saxon Ring. They'll go to Misano, which ends it, and they'll go to Red Bull Ring. And I believe there's another one I've probably forgotten about. Or I think the Misano one might have been a double header as well. So maybe they'll just go to 3 instead this time.
It's but they're missing it. That they've got a reduced calendar, if at all they do. I forgot what original calendar they had, to be honest. I wasn't.
It was Jerez, Le Mans, Saxon Ring, Red Bull Ring, and Misano. So yeah, they're missing out.
Have they got enough bikes though? Because I think they've had to start from scratch, haven't they? I mean, how do you?
Yeah, basically they've had to go back to the suppliers and go, can you build us more of of these parts, please, so we can build the bikes again. So it's good that the season's going to start, because for me personally, I'm really looking forward to seeing City Bernal racing again. So it would have been gutting to have never seen him race again after 2009. So I'm so happy to see him racing again. So that's just a personal want of Moto E to come onto the calendar this year.
And also, I've forgotten his status from what he was arranged to do, but Brad Smith as well. He was announced to be racing in this, and then he had I think he was in the first round in MotoGP. So I don't know. He's doing a couple of different rounds, isn't he? So I don't know.
Exactly he's scheduled to do 4 wildcards this year, maybe 3, 4 wildcards. He will be doing Jerez, so we're not sure if that's a domino effect of the Moto E championship getting pushed back, or if he was supposed to do that alongside his Moto E commitments at the start of the season. But so yeah, he'll be at Jerez for that'll be his next showing in the MotoGP class.
Fair enough. All right. Just thought I'd ask, just because, we've not heard from them for a few weeks then, have we, the old Moto E? So, best of luck to the championship and all the people organising it and pulling their hair out and thinking, oh, God, which they're probably doing as well. But I'm sure they've got everything in hand. Anyway, right, so we've got other things to talk about, like World Superbikes, catching up on what's going on there, if you've not been paying too much attention, or maybe if you've been busy and you didn't manage to catch any of the races, and you relied heavily on Eurosport, actually putting together a decent on-demand service, and you were severely disappointed. We will update you as to the latest on that. Not that you've paid any money to pay for an on-demand service, which they haven't provided. Anyway.
The Superbike Show on Motorsport Radio.
Hey everyone, Bradley Smith.
Hi guys, I'm Danny Buchan.
Hi, I'm Tom Sykes.
This is Motorsport Radio.
Yep, and it's a Thursday night where we usually do this sort of talking about bikes type thing, and we've just been on about MotoGP, Moto2 and Moto3, and now it's the time where we talk about World Superbikes. Indeed. And we'll be talking about BSB and looking at who's, looking good as the testing concluded at Silverstone, and whether that actually means anything, because as we see in many championships, people who usually look good pre-season in testing, even though they might be just thinking of it a bit more of a sort of a shakedown, really, we often, as fans, read a lot more into it, and it doesn't often translate in the first round anyway as being the actual performance, as is the case with Formula 1, for example. But anyway, try not to talk about that. So BSB chat coming up later, and also by special request, Liam, Moto America, which I have to admit I actually I'm not. It's one of those things that I know is there, but I don't. I mean, where do you even watch it? I don't know. But anyway, Liam will be bringing us all up to date on Moto America later on. The latest from the CEV and the British Talent Cup as well a bit later. So yeah, we got lots to pack into the next few minutes. So we better get on with it. World Superbikes, Liam, what's the latest?
The latest is that we've got replacement news. Hector Barbera will be in for Leandro Mercado as of Assen. So he'll be replacing him. And it's good news for Hector Barbera. He is coming back from a tumultuous season, I'd say. A past year, where he got arrested for a DUI, I think it is, they say in America. So, yeah, he's come back from that. He lost his ride in Moto2 last year. He started off in World Supersport this year, and he's now replacing Leandro Mercado in the World Superbike class this year. So it's going to be good for him. And we know how good a rider Hector Barbera is, so fingers crossed that we can see him perform and be up there running with the likes of Alvaro Bautista, Jonathan Rea, Chaz Davies, Alex Lowe's, the likes. And a little fact for you, you might not remember this, you might not have been watching bike racing back in the day, but Hector Barbera and Alvaro Bautista used to be teammates back in the 125 class in 2004 with the Team Totti bike. Now, Francesco Totti, the Italian footballer, had a team back in 2004 in the 125 class, and they were his riders. So Hector Barbera was the race winner back then, but Alvaro Bautista did score a podium or two. I believe his first podium came back in Qatar 2004. Just a random fact that I
before my time. I mean, I was way too young to even know what a bike was. To be honest, I was looking up to both of them as a couple of wee heroes because I really like both of them on that bike, and so I can't remember exactly the team name of the bike, but I think it was something like. I know it was Totti that ran the team, but Seedorf, I think it might have come under the name of the team. So we've got Seedorf, yeah. So maybe that was the team name back then. So that's a cool wee fact, and obviously Hector Barbera will be racing against his ex-teammate in the 125 class, but they've raced against each other in MotoGP and 250 as well. But talking about Alvaro Bautista, he once again dominated the proceedings at Aragon the weekend, and some people see it as boring. Some people see it as a breath of fresh air to see someone different other than Jonathan Rea take the wins. But to be fair, if it wasn't for Bautista dominating, then Jonathan Rea would have won every single race so far this year as well. Because that exactly.
Yeah, well, we would do, because if you just take Alvaro Bautista out of the equation, Jonathan Rea finished second in every race. It doesn't
always work like that, though. Because what if, for example, okay, if we're going to just talk like random, like what ifs, what if Bautista was fighting with Rea, wheel to wheel, and Bautista took Rea out of every single race so far? So just saying that Bautista, if you just take him out of the equation, then Rea would have automatically, won most of the races. Because I don't think he even finished second in some of them, did he? I think
no, he finished second in every single race so far. The only race that he would have probably finished third in was the first race of the season, race 1, where Leon Haslam got in front of him and seemed to be just gapping him a little bit, but crashed out. So, so
fair enough.
Bautista's been so far in front of him in most races so far that it looks like you could have taken him out of the equation anyway, and he wouldn't have made any difference to the results if he was there, if he wasn't there. Obviously, he's there and winning every single race by about 15 seconds, some of the times between 10 and 15 seconds, which is gargantuan in motorbike terms and World Superbikes, which is a production-based racing series, which means that bikes should be closer together, but they're not. But saying that, coming into Assen this weekend, Ducati have now lost 250 RPM from their bike. So they've dropped 250 RPM because of the combined results or the championship standings of Bautista and Chaz Davies. So in a weird way, I don't think they were going to get punished. It's a weird one how it works. I don't think they were going to get punished before the weekend, the way Chaz Davies was going, but now Chaz Davies scored a couple of podiums. It sort of brought him back up the championship order a little bit, gave him more points, and all of a sudden Ducati have been given a bit of a penalty of 250 RPM drop.
So how will that affect, or will it affect, or will it just be, will it realign the competitiveness? I mean, it doesn't, from a sporting point of view, I understand why it's done, but from a pure out racing type purist's view, nobody ever likes to see anyone get limited or, their performance things like that. So
from a purist view, I absolutely understand that you wouldn't like to see this happening, but from an entertainment value, then even if you are a purist, you'd probably not really turn on World Superbikes if you're just seeing the same person dominate by about 10 seconds every week. So something needs to be done. The Ducati, credit to them, have built an outstanding weapon of a bike, the V4 Panigale. It's with Bautista on it, it's unbeatable at the moment. With the other riders that have been on different machinery, or Chaz Davies' example, being on a V-twin for about 5-6 years, it's taken him a while to get his head around it, but Alvaro Bautista has come over from MotoGP where he races V4s, or has raced V4s with Ducati. So it's a little bit easier for him to transition into a V4 Ducati in World Superbikes. So I personally don't think 250 RPM will necessarily stop Alvaro Bautista from winning, because before the Aragon Grand Prix, Ducati were testing at Aragon, and what they've done is just come out recently that they did test for a potential 250 RPM drop, and they still done very well. Competitive lap times, probably not as quick, but they weren't too concerned. So it might affect the other Ducati riders like Davies and Michael Ruben Rinaldi and Eugene Laverty, but for Alvaro Bautista, it might just mean that his winning margin isn't as big as it usually is, especially in races 1 and 2 instead of the qualifying race.
Well, Simon Tobias, sorry, Simon, if I'm mispronouncing your name anyway, he's been on, hello and welcome, by the way, and he's just said exactly the same thing that you've just said, that Ducati apparently ran the bike minus 250 revs just to see if it did make any difference. Or did they run it at the last round? I don't know.
No, they didn't run it.
Say, or they just happened to just do a test and run it.
Yeah, they were doing a test ahead of Aragon, and that's when they tested it out. But when it came to the weekend, they were running at the full RPM that they were allowed to run at that time.
Fair enough. I suppose the only real way of finding out, I mean, yes, you can do various, dyno tests and even, track testing, but the only one way to find out how it will affect things is on the track, in the race, on the day, I suppose, because riders sometimes feel the pressure of another rider up their chuff. And, you can't calculate for that type of pressure necessarily when you're doing testing, because you're just all about doing the lap times and maybe it's, tyre testing, it might be that sort of thing. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Absolutely. And coming into this weekend, it's Assen, where Jonathan Rea has been the king of Assen ever since Carl Fogarty retired. He's the only one that seemed to match Carl Fogarty. Alvaro Bautista's coming into this weekend is dominating the championship so far. He's won the first 9 races. The last person to do that was Neil Hodgson back in 2003 on the Fila Ducati. So he's equalled that record. He'll be hoping to come into this weekend to break that record of winning 10 times, 11 times, maybe even 12 times. But he's got to go through Jonathan Rea, who is a weapon at Assen. He has won 12 times throughout his career, has equalled Carl Fogarty for that. So he's wanting to come into this weekend and break his own record and Carl Fogarty's record of winning 13 times at Assen, which would be the most times that anyone has won at a certain track in World Superbikes. So it's going to be, I think this weekend is going to be a lot closer than we've seen at the first 3 rounds, because Assen is a different circuit. It's a bit more unique. It's fast and flowing. Different bikes work at different parts of the circuit. The Ducati won't have the top end speed to use the entire track like it did like it had at Phillip Island, at Thailand, and of course down that back straight at Aragon. So they were very Ducati specific tracks, but this is a track more suited to the 4-strokes of the Kawasaki's, the Yamahas, the inline 4 of the Yamaha, and possibly the Honda. So it's going to be a great weekend. I say Honda, I meant to say BMW, but now that I've said Honda, there's good news for them. Not only have they been given an increase of 250 RPM, they've been given 2 increases of that. So they've got an increase of 500 RPM, which they have badly needed. I wouldn't say that's going to transform them into podium contenders or winners overnight, but it's definitely a helping hand that they really need at the moment, because they are so far down the order that it looks like they've got no hope unless they have this increased RPM. So we might see them battle out for the bottom end of the top 10. Leon Camier is a fighter, and we know how well he can go. Ryoichi Kiyanari, some people forget he's in World Superbikes. I tend to forget that sometimes because he's been so far at the back. Poor Ryokyo. And he will... Maybe this will give him the push that he's been needing to challenge near Leon Camier's pace. So we might... Yeah. Say no, but I was just trying to sort of...
Maybe. I might be wrong. Maybe.
Or give Kiyanari fans a hope. So we know he's got a lot of fans out there. He's a fantastic rider, but he's not the way he used to be,
and
unfortunately. He's getting on a bit.
73.
So yeah, he's 73. I don't agree with you in that one. Maybe switch those numbers when you get his real age.
No, I forgot how old he is, but he's...
I think he's mid 30s, maybe late 30s. So yeah, he's not the young rider that he once was, but it'd be good to see Honda up there as well. And BMW have been passed on. They won't be affected by concessions because they're running a stock engine. They'll be running a stock engine at Assen as well this weekend, and they'll probably get their full blown race engine by Imola in a few weeks' time. So BMW, they showed great pace in Aragon. Tom Sykes was on the front row, could potentially have challenged Bautista for pole position if he never ran off at the final corner on his fast lap. He lost a lot of time there. So with a track that doesn't really rely on long straights, we could even see BMW and Tom Sykes pushing for a win. If not, podium position. So it'll be interesting to see how that works. And we come to Assen, which is the cathedral of motorbike racing. Probably, I would say, one of the best tracks in the world. Even though it was mutilated about 13 years ago, it's still one of the best tracks to go to. Great atmosphere. A lot of Brits go over to it. If you're going over this weekend, I'm super jealous. I wish I was going. So it's a great atmosphere. The Brits will be out in force. Jonathan Rea, as I said earlier on, will be looking to break the record. You've got Eugene Laverty starting to show pace. You've got Alex Lowes, who has been looking brilliant all year. Chaz Davies looks like he's found form again. You've got the likes of them all. Michael van der Mark will be looking to impress in front of his home crowd. He hasn't really been up to scratch with Alex Lowes this year, but he'll be looking to address that coming into this weekend. So there's so much to play for at Assen, and you know what? There's going to be a great atmosphere with lots of fans all around the circuit, cheering everyone on.
You mentioned that Van der Mark not really up to speed at the moment, or words to that effect. I mean, he's not far behind, to be honest, in the championship. He's like 21 points behind Lowes right now. He's sitting in 4th place, and Lowes is only a very short 47 points behind Jonathan Rea, who is a long way behind Bautista. So 86 points between first and third. So yes,
it's a long gap, isn't it? Yes, it's pretty terrifying, especially with the Super Pole race. Or the qualifying race, whatever you want to call it, has now been put into the middle, and you get points for that. Now it's sort of strung out the championship even more than what you get with just the 2 races at the weekend. But Michael van der Mark, I say that he's not really been up to speed with Alex Lowes. The reason I say that is because he's been getting outperformed by Alex Lowes, he's been getting outraced by Alex Lowes. You go back to last year, and to be fair to Alex Lowes, he wasn't having a bad season whatsoever, but Michael van der Mark...
They both won races, didn't they?
They both won races. I think Alex won 1 and Michael van der Mark won 2, maybe 3. And they came in quick succession during the middle of the season, so they were both doing brilliantly. But this year, it looks like Alex Lowes has just stepped it up a gear, and he's been riding on the back of Jonathan Rea for most of the races until the end of the race, when maybe Yamaha's been suffering from a bit more tyre issues. But Michael van der Mark, this could be the weekend that he turns it all around and gives the home crowd something to cheer about. I say home crowd, but then again, there's so many Brits that go over there that it's basically like either a Dutch crowd or a British crowd.
Yeah, it's a bit like going to one of the Spanish resorts, I suppose. It's it's not Spanish at all, really, because there's, as you say, there's so many Brits that go there, which is no bad thing, ultimately. And interesting to notice your little side swipe at another circuit, and starting to notice you get some very opinionated views on various circuit configurations.
I love Assen, but to be honest, when they lost the Northern Loop, it just lost a bit of its character. I can't be I won't be the only one thinking that, because everyone loved the Northern Loop. It was fast and flowing. You went from left to right, left to right. It was just an incredible piece of tarmac that unfortunately we don't really have much of in the world at the moment.
Of itself a bit of a change from the original configuration in the 50s or something, where it was like enormous. I mean, if you go in I think it's on Wikipedia, all the various versions of the track that there's been down the years and the bits of thing that it chopped off. Like the original circuit was absolutely massive.
Yeah, it was so big that you wouldn't have anyone race on it anymore. So they had to do something with it, with the likes of.
So even the shorter version that you say that you liked, that in and of itself was a shorter, more butchered version of the original. So
I never saw the version before the Northern Loop. So I might stand corrected, and there might be someone out there screaming at me for saying, that Northern Loop was rubbish compared to what came before that.
Exactly. Everyone's got their own thing.
Exactly. But yeah, it was a stretch of tarmac that was absolutely brilliant to watch them racing on, see the bikes, how they handled through the section. For example, 2002 in MotoGP, you had the four strokes up against the two strokes, and it was the only other track apart from Sachsenring where the two strokes could stay with the four strokes, because they could use their mid-corner speeds to stay up with the four strokes, which obviously were a bit more stop and start. They ran less corner speed, but were just brilliant along the straights and out of the corners. So, yeah, it's a shame that that's gone. But once again, Assen nowadays still produces great racing, and it's still one of the best circuits to go to in the world.
Well, for the youngsters who are tuning into the show, and I understand there are some, who maybe, like you, don't remember the previous version of the circuit, then they won't know what you're talking about. They'll just think it's fine as it is now. What are you talking about? So you'll always get that generational, and it's interesting to see who's in which generation of. It's a bit like music, I suppose. Some people like a bit of the Beatles and Stones, other people like Bon Jovi, other people hate both of those and like whatever's good right now, sort of thing. So it's very much like that, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. It's whatever generation you grew up in, and it's when you went to your first sort of races or watched it on TV, then you'll sort of remember those tracks better compared to what you do now.
Yeah.
But I still love the racing at Assen. But I remember my first memory of Assen, which was
Becker in the 90s. Yada.
It was no, I didn't even watch in the 90s. It was 2001 when Max Biaggi beat Valentino Rossi and Loris Capirossi and Alex Barros in a race because it got rained off. So yeah, I just remember sitting there on a Saturday afternoon. My parents were out. I was there by myself, just watching the racing. I was like, "This is fantastic! What a track this is!" So yeah, that's probably why I missed that Northern Loop section.
Yeah, I think. I think it's. I'm going to probably offend a lot of people here.
Go for it.
When they say that they preferred things years ago, what they're really actually saying is that I wish I was young again, and everything. I like to remember everything from when I was young. So whenever, like you said, Liam, a little bit, I'm blaming you. So people like to remember fondly whatever it was, whenever they were young, at whatever era that was. It's whenever they were young, like between, I suppose, like 10 and 16, or maybe even younger, or whenever you fell in love with sport, basically, or motorsport. I think that was the time when you're forever going to say, yeah, that was the best. That was it. That was the era. That was my era, sort of thing. For me, it was like the mid-90s, and it was F1, because that's when I first sort of fell in love with motorsport. And younger people, they're going to think probably like now is the best era, and it is a good era, let's say.
To be honest, I probably say it is the best era that we've ever seen in MotoGP. But my era, just to clarify, would be 2001 when I watched it to 2006. I just felt like that era was it was a golden era. I wouldn't say it's better than now. I'd probably say it wasn't quite as good as now.
So what's now then, if it's not, if before wasn't better?
Proper epic. Just, this is going to be the pinnacle golden era of MotoGP.
So what's the future pinnacle golden era gonna be?
Well, it could come along, but then again, like great things, there tends to be an off period, and then it might come back again. But you never know. You never know who's going to be in MotoGP in the future. You never know who's going to be the owners.
Yeah.
So
I'll let you. I'll take your shirt back off you. But yeah, so hello, by the way, to anyone just tuned in. We are currently discussing that their 90s and everything that was better back in it. Hello to Brent Gladwin, tuned in. Hello, Brent. And he's gearing up, quite literally, for the first BSB round next weekend at Silverstone with the Claudio Corti and just him in the Team WD-40. Hello Brent, tuned in. And Simon Tobias, been back in touch once again. Hello, thank you very much for staying in touch. And Olimpio Suarez, who says Bautista is emoji, which I can't quite translate, but he's either for or against Bautista. So thank you for commentating there, Olympio. And okay, lots of other different comments coming in. I'm just, there's quite a few there. But we are live right now on Motorsport Radio. If you don't believe us, you can leave us a comment, and I will struggle to, so I'll read it out with my, I went to the opticians today, got my glasses thing. Anyway, it still didn't make me sexy like in what the pictures show. But anyway, whatever. This is the Superbike Show. We're talking about mostly motorsport. And hello to Cy Boyle, tuned in as well. Hello. You've probably just freaked him out now. So yeah, we were in the middle, weren't we, Liam, of talking about the old world Superbikes. We were talking about Ducatis and Bautista, I think. What else was we talking about? And then we sort of like went on a massive tangent. But yeah, and we decided that the RPM limit or the reduction it is a reduction, isn't it? It's not really a limit.
Reduction of Ducati, but an increase for Honda. So the others have stayed exactly the same as they were.
Yeah, okay. And we were sort of deciding that it probably might not affect, I think we decided that we'll have to just wait and see. Didn't we?
Yeah. I think that I think with the RPM decrease for Ducati, it wouldn't make a difference to what would happen this weekend by too much. I think this weekend we will get a much closer 3 races than we have done the season so far, because of the nature of Assen and just the way that Jonathan Rea is a king of the circuit. So I think we will see a lot closer competition between Bautista and Jonathan Rea. And we've got to see how Bautista will do in a battle with the World Superbike guys, because he's never been in a battle on track with them before. There's been lots of battles in MotoGP, so he knows how they react. But sometimes in World Superbikes, they can be a little bit more up for a fight than they would in MotoGP, as you might have seen in the past.
Well, obviously he's not been in a fight because he's been busy at the front winning. So, yeah, I mean, he's well experienced by way of his age and experience, etc. In that, I don't think he'll just consider everybody on track just there to be beaten, just one of someone you need to get past, really, rather than to be intimidated. I might be wrong. Maybe he will be intimidated, and maybe he'll put on a nice show for us from the mid pack after there's some. You know, I'd love to see really what I think we all was hoping, and what we kind of almost had a bit of a situation back at round 1 where for a very short period of time he wasn't quite leading a race, was he? And Ray was and we were all like, and then from then on it was like, oh.
It was the Supers Pole race in Australia was a bit close. I say a bit close to say as underplaying it, but there was a couple of rough moments from Jonathan Rea, which was brilliant to see from Jonathan fighting back, because he knew that he had to ruffle Alvaro Bautista. Alvaro Bautista kept his cool. A couple laps later, took the lead, ran away with it, and once again in Thailand. So he sat up. Oh, I say sat up. He crashed into Alvaro Bautista at turn 2 and nearly knocked Alvaro Bautista back off the bike. And I think that was in race 1. So I think we can see Jonathan Rea getting his fists out for this one, which is going to be great to see.
Well, that answers Olimpio Suarez his question, where he asks, sorry if I keep messing your name, I'm terrible with names. He asks, what will we expect from Ray this weekend? So I guess you've already sort of answered it, in that he might be a bit more feisty with his elbows out, is the official line from Liam Hodgins. Unless you care to change it, maybe, I don't know.
Well, I could say he's out out for a boxing fight, or he's going to turn into some sort of WWE wrestler and just suplex him from above. I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore.
I think you're probably over-dramatising the expectation of us wanting a big fight on track up at the front, where we
need it.
In reality, it might just be a bit of a... But I hope personally anyway, that we see a new winner, i.e. not Bautista, not Ray, not Lowe's, not Van der Mark, not Haslam, maybe someone who's never won a race before.
Hector Barbera.
Hanna-Barbera. Yes.
Yeah.
I like his cartoons. Great. But there was, what was you mentioning about news about Barbara? Hector anyway.
Yeah, so you might have been watching the World Supersport at the weekend, and I'll come on to the epic race that we did witness on track, but unfortunately, Hector Barbera missed the race. There was reports saying that his bike was stolen on the Saturday night, so when him and the team came in the next day, the bike was gone. That's a rumour.
I doubt that.
There's more of a...
I mean, why choose his bike when you could have, if you're going to steal anyone's bike, honestly, why him? No.
Well, maybe his team were complacent and just left the locks open, or maybe... You never know. We could be getting too much into this.
If I'm a thief and walking into a World Superbike paddock, I'm taking Ray's bike. I don't care. I'm not going, Barbera, yeah, no, I think I'll choose, Hector's bike. Yeah, no, never.
Well, maybe he angered some people that were mobsters and went, right, that's it, we're going to take your bike, mate. That's you done.
In a bike paddock? Mobsters? Never. I won't hear of it.
Outside of the paddock, and they've realised that he was in Aragon racing, so I thought, right, here's our chance to get his bike. He owes us.
Yeah, maybe
something.
Maybe as you say, it was. No, I won't finish that sentence.
But there's a more realistic rumor that there's a financial issue with the team. So maybe that was the case. That maybe something happened in that sense. Maybe someone from the team took the bike away.
Basically.
Sorry?
It basically got clamped, or the clamped version of not paying your bills.
Yeah, basically. So
is the rumor that we're hearing unofficially?
We believe the truth will come out at some point. When that truth does come out, we'll never know. But one thing we can tell you is that Hector Barbera will be racing this weekend, but not in World Supersport, but in the World Superbike class. So,
well, it's good for him. And
he's not really lost out.
Yeah, generally, if a rider's not injured and they don't show up to race, it means usually, generally speaking, that someone's not paid their bills.
We've seen many times in the past, which is unfortunate because you never want to see a team fall away from any championship, any world championship. So it's a shame because we've lost Hector Barbera from the championships so far. Maybe he'll come back. Maybe we never know.
And we'll get Loris Baz as well coming in with 10 Carter. When is that again? When are they coming back?
They believe it could be as soon as Imola, so round 5, just after this weekend.
Yeah.
So fingers crossed, because we're looking so forward to seeing Loris Baz and Tenkate Yamaha. Remember, it's Yamaha, not Honda, back in the paddock, because that'll be
weird for a lot of people to not the least of which is probably the team themselves as well, just to get their heads around that it won't be a
Yeah, I know what you mean. To get their head around not saying Honda instead of Yamaha, because I made that mistake a few times last week when I was trying to say who it was. Coming back to the World Supersport, and unfortunately Hector Barbera wasn't part of this race, but what a race it was. You had Randy Krummenacher, Rafael De Rosa, Federico Caricazzulo, Thomas Gradinger, Jules Clozel, all battling out for the win. To be honest, towards the end of the race, it was the top 4 that all battled out for the win, and it was decided by just over a tenth of a second between the top 3. The top 2 was decided by less than a tenth of a second between Randy Krummenacher and Rafael De Rosa, coming over the line nearly side by side with Federico Caricazzulo just behind that, and then Thomas Gradinger finishing in 4th spot, which is a shame, just missing the podium after such an epic battle. But World Supersport racing this season has been looking insanely good. It looks like World Supersport back to its best. Just saying that, it's just all Yamahas though, unfortunately. So it just seems to be one manufacturer that's giving these teams the bikes to perform. But then again, if it wasn't for Yamaha doing this, then we might not see the close battles that we're actually seeing. So
do we honestly care whether it is just like one manufacturer dominating in Supersport at the moment? Do we just care? Do we care more about the actual on-track racing, or do we care about having like do you know what I mean? Different manufacturers, different bikes on track.
Yeah,
I mean, it's nice, I suppose, to have the industry represented properly, but.
Yeah, I do say that it was all Yamahas within the top 5. I was completely wrong. I completely forgot. My apologies, my bad. That Rafael De Rosa is actually on an MV. So, yeah, I need to sort my life out there.
Sorry,
but
Rafael.
apart from Rafael De Rosa being on an MV, the top 5 out of the top 6 were on Yamahas. But saying that, we don't really care. Me personally, if the racing's good, it's great to see different manufacturers within a class. But if the racing's good, that's all you really want.
And question to you tuned in as well, I suppose. If you're tuned in live, hello, welcome. This is the Superbike Show on Motorsport Radio. Check us out more if you want to read more about the bikes and stuff. Motorsport.radio. Yeah, do you care much about the manufacturers' battle? Does it add much to the racing, perhaps? I don't know. Or do we care more about the fact that there is good racing on track? Maybe, possibly, that's maybe, where the World Superbikes has been going wrong, maybe a little bit. Maybe they've been trying to manufacture a manufacturer's race at the cost of actual competitiveness. But I don't know. Maybe I'm completely wrong. I'm talking crap, and I need to be told what's what. If so, get in touch. Use the Twitter hashtag Superbike Show. Is that what we're using? I think. Yeah, Superbike Show. Or you can tweet us directly at M-Sport Radio. On Facebook, it's Motorsport Radio, and you can just leave a comment in comments box below wherever you're tuned in to Superbike Show. Right, good. Tis. Aye. Hello to everyone already tuned in on BSB Facebook group as well, BSB and Support Facebook group, and to lots of people who've already commented. Blake Gibbons still tuned in. Hello, Blake, and Leroy Sands, who's been I guess invited. I went on a big invite spree and invited like 17,000 people. So hello. World Superbikes and World Supersport. Is there any other big news in said paddock that we need to get out there? Is there anything that we've missed, maybe?
Not just a couple of wee things running through the order. Kyle Smith returned at the weekend and he scored a top 10 finish in 9th place with the Pericini Kawasaki team. And Maria Herrera scored a point in 15th. So really well done to her. She's starting to get to grips with the Supersport class, and she came up from the Supersport 300 last year, and she's now in the full. I say it, that's a bit like full milk, isn't it? The full milk Supersport class. I don't know where I got that analogy from, but we'll go with it.
Yeah, the full fat version of the Supersport, basically.
Yeah, so she's getting our head around that, which is good, and we can hopefully just see her going from strength to strength as the season goes on, as well as Kyle Smith, who's now back in the paddock.
Yeah, sounds good. All right, so we move on because we are fast running out of time, and we've got literally a massive big list of things that we want to talk about, including, but not limited to, the British Superbikes Championship, and we always like to leave some of the best championships till last. BSB out on track this week at Silverstone, the pre-tests, and who was looking good at the moment?
There's a few people looking good at the moment. We had O'Halloran on the Yamaha, on the McCann's Yamaha, which looks absolutely brilliant. And he has been looking the man to beat throughout testing so far. He's been topping Portimao, also Monte Blanco up there as well. And he comes to Silverstone. We weren't sure if he could continue on that form with a different environment. Be a lot colder here in the UK than it was in Portugal and in Spain. But he's topped the test once again. So he's looking incredibly quick. Dan Linfoot, he's sort of been in kind of no man's land over testing, but he's been back up the top, finishing second. Josh Brooks, he said that he's got a few things to work on before he came into Silverstone. He worked on them. He's feeling a lot more confident, but still feeling like there's still a lot bit more to come from that V4 Ducati Panigale and himself. And Luke Mossey, who we are so glad that he's been looking good throughout testing, because in 2017, you might remember, he was leading the championship at one point, and then he had a big injury, big crash, was injured throughout most of 2018. He's now over at the OMG Suzuki, and he's finishing top 4 after the final test. So it looks like we've got a great bag of riders that are up for a good bit of competition this year. The pre-season favourites, which tend to be Tara McKenzie, Xavi Forés, and of course none other than Scott Redding. They only finished in 8th, 9th and 10th throughout testing, but then again, when it comes to the main race, we believe that Tara McKenzie and Scott Redding and of course Xavi Forés will be up there battling for race wins and podiums, so you can't really read too much into that final result there. Glenn Irwin had a bad test, as did Bradley Ray and Tommy Bridewell, only finishing 12th, 13th and 14th. So some big contenders there, quite far down the order. Obviously, Glenn Irwin's going from Ducati to Kawasaki, Brad Ray sticking with Suzuki this year. Yeah. And we've got Tommy Bridewell on the Oxford, I can't remember its full title, but he's on
the Oxford Racing Ducati, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I think it's something like that. But he's been looking good through testing, as has Glenn Irwin at some point. So we can believe that the order might change throughout the season as it goes on, and it'll be interesting to see how it goes on. The surprises of the test were Luke Stapleford in 5th and Josh Elliott in 7th. I wouldn't say Josh Elliott was too much of a surprise, because in Portimao and Portugal, he was looking brilliant as well. So he was in the top 7 there as well. So
and he was looking pretty competitive last season when he did the few BSB races that he did. I think matching the pace of Gino Rea, not that it was, but using your teammate is always the first marker of how competitive a bike is usually. And he did well, so yeah, not that much of a surprise. So.
Yeah, I believe that he came in and actually qualified in front of Gino Rea at the final round. I could be standing corrected.
He did well, certainly.
He did very well for the start of, his BSB career, we hope. Not putting any pressure on Josh Elliott. We fingers crossed that he does have a long career in BSB, or maybe something even further afield than that. But it's looking like it's going to be a great season ahead for us, because we've obviously got no Shane Byrne, which is a huge shame not to have him. Leon Haslam has gone over to World Superbikes, but we've still got the great talents that have been giving us a lot of entertainment over the years, and of course the inclusion of Moto2 race winner and 125 race winner Scott Redding. So what more can you ask for at the moment?
Certainly, yes, and there was a bit of concern amongst people who are monitoring the BMWs about why they've not been out and about yet, but they were at Cadwell yesterday or today, I think. I saw on my stream very briefly that there was a few bikes finally out on track for the first time, and so I mean, what are we thinking overall with the BMWs? Are they just, is there an issue there? Are they just leaving the testing till really late, or what's?
Well, it's a new bike, so when teams tend to get a new bike, it can sometimes arrive late. Some parts might not get there on time, so it can be, even though Tyco's a big team, it still takes them a while to actually put it all together. So it could have taken them a while to get it all pieced together. I won't think there's too many issues there, because they're a fantastic team, and we will probably. I won't see them starting off right up the top, but as the season continues and progresses, as we've seen on World Superbikes, how good that bike's starting to look now, especially as a chassis. But when it gets that new engine, then we could see great things from BMW and BSB.
Not much to say, apart from just, we'll have to wait and see, really, what does happen. And I'm almost sick of saying that, to be honest, because there's so many unknowns, like you say, Liam, that, we can't really. And drawing a conclusion from, who did sort of all right if it was a race weekend in testing, because really positions don't really mean anything at all in testing, do they? So we can't really use the time. Oh, maybe they do. What do you think? Let us know if you tuned in. But seriously though, Liam, what do you think? Really?
Are you trying to give me, or get me to give my top 6 predictions for the season?
I never asked that specifically. If you already have 6 of your top 6 already to give, I mean, if you want to give them, then I'm not going to stop you.
Yeah, I've been seeing this going around because Greg Haynes, the Eurosport World Superbike commentator, tweeted something up on Twitter. So I thought that's kind of the angle you're going for. So,
well, you might as well give it if you've already have them written down.
I don't have them written down, but I will off the top of my head. I'll go for it. Let's try it out. I will say it'll be Scott Redding, Josh Brooks.
In order. So you're saying Redding will win?
No, not in order. Just off the top of my head. Who will be in the final showdown.
Right, okay.
Yeah. So Scott Redding, Josh Brooks, Jason O'Halloran, Taryn McKenzie. I'm going to throw a Luke Mossy in there, and the sixth one. Oh, this is going to be tough.
You think OMG are going to make the showdown?
Yeah, I feel like Luke Mossy is going to be in there, or very close to being in there. And Peter Hickman. He does it every year.
No Brad Ray.
I don't know. I want to say Brad Ray. I really do, but I don't know.
Wow, that's no Bridewell either.
I don't know. It's Tommy Bridewell. It's so tough to say as I could say. You just don't know what's going to happen in British Superbike. So, for example, after the first round, I could say, wait a minute. Taryn McKenzie didn't do too well, but Brad Ray got on the podium in every race, both races, or won one, and they'll be like, no, what, Brad Ray's in there. So, yeah, I think I've just basically looked at the testing and gone, it looks all right. Who's been all right in testing so far? Jason O'Halloran has been looking consistently the best so far.
But that will probably mean that he won't. No disrespect to him, of course, but
I've probably just jinxed him. I hope I haven't.
Who knows? But the general consensus, and I'm urging again for people to not read too much into it, because it will almost certainly result in us being completely wrong. And I think it's a battle of attrition and who just gets lucky, i.e. who doesn't fall off bikes, have any injuries coming into the final few races before the showdown, that sort of thing. So. Yeah, I mean, there could be new riders coming to replace, riders who are injured, for example. So there could be, Danny Kent. We might even see him potentially, even though he's not even in. Danny? Yeah, I mean, he's not. I don't know. We keep on saying this on the show that we need to get in touch with him, and I've failed to do so because I've just been so busy. But I'm sure he's already in negotiations, let's say, and I don't know that. Not heard anything. Not rumoured to be anywhere, but just by the fact that he's, Moto 3 world champion, X, and he is Danny Kent, and he still has that name that you can just sort of like say, Danny Kent, okay, yeah, he's obviously a good rider, but he might, his name comes with baggage, I think, in that, I'm trying to talk him up. I'm trying to promote him, but obviously, there's maybe it just relies on someone to give him a chance and really show what he could do. And racing in, I think it was just the final round, or was it the final 2 rounds of BSB last year?
It was Brands the final round last year.
But I don't think that was enough for him to fully show what he could do, but he did well.
Yeah, he's never been on a Superbike before then. I think he got a bit of testing in beforehand, but then again, testing is completely different to racing against the people that you're going to be racing against. Yeah. The same thing with every top level performer around the world in any sport is that you need to have your head in the right space. And I'm not saying that Danny Kent doesn't, but to have your head in the right space, you need to have a good team around you as well, and a good team of people around you. That's when you really get the best out of yourself. His 2015 championship, he had a great team of people around him, he had a great bike, and it just all seemed to gel and work into place. And then obviously when they moved to Moto 2, it sort of fell away a little bit, which was a shame. So maybe we'll see Danny Kent back in the sport in some capacity. It'll be great to see him back because he is a talented rider.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. He has the skills. He can do a good job, definitely. But it's the but, isn't it? It's the if he a bit like sort of, I mean, I think he's just suffered a bit more than what Scott Redding has, and I think those two riders are similar in that, yes, they're great riders, they can definitely do a good job. It's the but everything else, it's the off-track comments and stuff, isn't it? It's what happens behind the scenes, the arguments and stuff with teams, potentially. And it would be good to see him, I think, Danny Kent, anyway, back up at the front of any grid, whether it's, I don't know if he's holding out maybe to go back into, Moto 2 or something, back on, or maybe somewhere, or if he's just waiting for a fantastic ride to come through, or a great offer. But I think the longer he leaves it, he's going to be like...
Kind of forgotten about, basically.
That's my fear, anyway, and I don't want that to happen to him, because he's only still young. He's like mid-20s or something.
Yeah,
I think.
20,
early 20. I don't know.
25 maybe.
Yeah. So let's. If he manages to get a ride, let's say round 2, something like that in BSB, he could be in. That's why I'm saying he could well be. Do you know what I mean? In contention if he does well. If it's on a decent bike at a decent team, that's all I'm saying. Let's just not discount the people who aren't riding just right now. That's what I'm saying. So they could
Ready on the fence, Lester.
Could be some surprises, let's say. That's actually a good question, actually. Who might be a surprise for the season? Because, yes, you can look at testing, you can look at the times and see right now who's good going into round 1, but it might completely be different. So for you then, pick someone who aren't the top 3, who might just be a real good shout, like what Jake Dixon did a few years ago, and literally just like barged his way onto the scene and properly announced himself as and Brad Ray did very much the same thing a couple of years ago now, wasn't it? So for you then, who would be your dark horse coming into BSB at this point?
Oh, that's another tough one. I'm going to go for Josh Elliott.
Yeah?
Yeah, not only because he's been doing well in testing, but because he's just been going about his job in a really well and professional manner. And we know how good he is, but I just feel like he's thereabouts. He's just sort of getting it done a little bit, and I feel like we could see something good coming from Josh Elliott at some point this year.
Interesting. Okay, fair enough. And I'm going to potentially go back on what I said earlier, in that I don't want to put too much pressure on him. That's why I've not been mentioning him too much, and it's not because we don't like him, because we actually love him here on the show. He's a regular interviewee when we're in paddocks and stuff. But that is. I don't even know whether to even sort of do it and put that burden on him, but I think it might be. You know what? I'm not even going to do it. Sod it. No, I'm not going to say his name. Definitely not. So I'll just refer to Andrew Hall, what he's been on, and say just because usually things that I have a terrible habit of things that I say either turn out to be spectacularly correct, and that just makes me look like some sort of like wizard of predicting, or just like completely wrong, and then I've jinxed them, and then they're like, oh, why did you say that, idiot? But anyway, Andrew Hall has been on, and he says Taz definitely one to watch for this season. And yeah, well, he's not even sort of a dark horse, really. He's right up there competing. Yeah, I think he will be one of the people in the showdown. So
yeah, he's one of the preseason favourites. It's just a shame for Tyrone McKenzie that he's been paired up with Jason O'Halloran, who's been romping away at the top of the timesheets over testing for most of the year.
Yeah, he's there to be beaten, just like every other rider, isn't it? So just because they're traditionally a slightly bigger name, they have better results over the last few seasons than every great rider is there to be sort of brought down a peg or 3.
Yeah, absolutely. We just hope that doesn't happen to Jason O'Halloran, because he has had some rotten luck over the last few years.
Yes, he has, but
it would be great. It'd be great to see. Yeah, absolutely. But it would be great to see Jason O'Halloran finally have a bike, have a season which talent deserves, because that Honda just wasn't.
Jason O'Halloran, really, don't you?
I like good riders. I like good riding, and I was a big fan of both him and Dan Linfoot when they were in that Honda. I just didn't feel like the Honda was as good as, as we saw in World Superbikes. The Honda's just, I don't want to say it, but pretty rubbish. For the moment, but we're definitely better bikes out there. There's still better bikes out there, and it's great to see Jason O'Halloran gel so well with that Yamaha. So can't wait to see how that goes on.
Okay.
One thing I did forget to mention is that Tag Racing will be looking a little bit different this year. As they revealed a new livery and sponsor, Santander Salt, which I've seen racing in the sidecar chat. Santander Salt. Apparently, this is if you're a banker and you're listening or watching the show, then apparently it's a phrase that is used when a bank's customer service isn't polite. I've not heard that one. I don't know.
Let's ask our senior BSB Spanish correspondent, who was a former presenter of this show, Kiko Giles. Actually, let's not. I don't want to involve him in like linguistic discussions, but I'll take your word for that. Don't know where did you get that information from? Where did you source that? Was it off the internet?
Believe it or not, I think it was Mr. Kiko Giles that done that for me.
Okay, there you go. Fair enough. So that may or may not be true. I don't know. I'll take someone's word.
Yeah, that's what I'd like to hear from a listener.
I have heard that phrase before though, and I can't remember what context. I just thought it was okay. Fair enough.
I've never had that issue. I've always had very polite banks.
Why would a not very polite bank's customer service allegedly sponsor? Why would you put that? It doesn't make.
I don't know. Maybe because you're not going to be polite out on track. You're going to get your elbows out and be a little bit mean.
Okay,
could work quite well.
I think there's like a translation that I'm missing here. I don't know. Probably is, to be honest. But yeah, well done, Tag Racing, for picking up a new title sponsor, I believe they are. So what's the actual official name of the team now? Will it be like Tag Racing Santander Salt or Santander?
Tag Racing Santander Salt. It could possibly be Santander Salt.
I'm thinking of chips now. I'm always going to be thinking of chips whenever that's going to be referenced. Don't know why. Anyway,
I just always thought it was literally a salt company. Maybe it is. I don't know. That's always what when I saw it around a BSB paddock on the sidecars, I just always thought that's what it was.
Anyway, So well done. As I say, well done for Tag Racing for picking up the old bit of sponsorship, much needed. I'm sure in the bringing in new names as well. I don't think they were sponsoring anyone else last year, were they?
Not in the solo classes, but I think they were in the sidecar class.
Okay.
Can't remember who that was.
I'm not up to date with the old sidecar sponsorships. Moving and shaking.
The only time I ever tend to see this is when I go to Knockhill. It's just, unfortunately, I don't get to keep up to date with a lot of what's happening in the bike racing world on Sundays because I'm working. So the stuff that I do eventually catch up on, it's not everything. It's just highlights sometimes, which is quite annoying.
Okay, Anthony Davis has been on, and he's shed some insight apparently into our bumbling around trying to find out what Santander Salt is, and he suggested that it's actually a road salt company, which makes sense now, to be honest.
Yeah. So
it's
our thoughts on what it could be were kind of right.
Well, we said it was a bank or something, didn't we? Anyway, moving on before we look completely ridiculous. Thanks, Anthony, if that is indeed true. A big hello to Lee Cooper, tuned in, as I might have mentioned earlier. I can't remember. Craig McAllister, hello, joined us just to see what's going on. Joe Collier, briefly tuned in, I believe, if he's not already still tuned in. Hello, Joe. And Scott McLennan. Hi, Scott. He asks basically what I just asked a moment ago. And he asks, so really, is there any new talent that's catching your eye at the moment? I'm guessing in BSB, because that's what we were most recently talking about.
Yeah. I mean, you said...
But I think we just asked that anyway. So
Yeah, you were trying to suggest a name, but you didn't want to say it. Now, I don't want to say it because...
Well, I was going to say Ryan Vickers.
Oh, right. If you're going to say the name now, then yeah, he's definitely someone to look out for. Josh Elliott in the BSB class, I think, will do... great guns this season. So yeah, I'll definitely look out for them.
But what do you think, Scott? You're tuned in right now. Who do you think will be a dark horse? Any top talent who's like the who's going to challenge the old guard. Not that there is any old guard, because they've all shipped out, really, haven't they? Shaky's gone, and I think it will literally, I think, more this year than in previous seasons, feel like a proper new school year, because there's so many almost youngsters, I think, vying for the top. Really, there's Brad Ray, like you say. There's maybe even Mackenzie. He might be mixing it up. And even though he's not exactly young, he is still a big name, and he is a newcomer to BSB. Scott Redding as well. So there you go. Yeah,
it's going to be a good season. And Tara McKenzie had a great end to 2018, and he's one of the dark horse favourites for pre-season ahead of the season. Scott Redding is going to be there. You know that no matter what. Josh Brooks is going to be there. He's the veteran of the class now. He feels like the school teacher and the whole thing, teaching all these young kids of how to do it.
And he might just do that.
He might just do it, indeed. You never know with Josh Brooks. You can never count the man out. He's there every single year, battling at the front, taking race wins, challenging for the championship. And it's great to have him still around in the class.
We're being comprehensively corrected about Santander Salt. So thanks, John John Whelan, for your input. No, I didn't mean that sarcastically, but genuinely thank you, because we did ask.
Maybe it was the phrase Santander Salt is what that means. I don't know, because with Santander Bank,
I can almost say for 99% certainty, I will not have much interaction with a Spanish bank in Spain, and I probably will never ever use that phrase, if it is even a phrase. I don't even know. I think we've just been stitched up by Kiko, haven't we? Really, but anyway,
probably. And I'm gullible enough to read it out.
And I don't even know my salt companies well enough to know the difference. So there you go. Apologies, salt industry. So thank you anyway, John. And apologies to Santander Salt for mistaking them for.
They may get salty.
Hey, there we go. Basically, and apparently they did sponsor Nixon in Moto 3 previously. The company. So there you go. Again, thank you very much, Anthony Davis, for his input on that. Right. So BSB then. What was we saying? Who was looking good, and various people.
Yeah, we've had likes of O'Halloran, Linfoot, Mossy looking good, Mackenzie, Forrest, Redding sort of dropping back a little bit.
Yeah.
Luke Stapleford was looking good, Josh Elliott, Glenn Irwin, Brad Ray, and Tommy Bradwell.
I think if we just name everybody, then nobody will be offended, will they?
Yeah.
That was the previous host's tactic. I think just name everybody. Don't finger anyone for negative attention, and then they won't approach you in the paddock and slag you off and tell you what a Burke you've been on the show.
Ben Cuddy, we've got Ryan Vickers doing really well as well.
Yeah.
We've got Andrew Irwin. Yeah, they're just all there. Anyone can win this year.
Yeah, exactly. So, BSB news aside, because we are already well late for Moto America news, which I know you're all hanging on for us to talk about. But yeah, so BSB, not really much to say apart from just tune in to the excellent coverage that Eurosport provide, which will be on, I don't even know what time the races are. Maybe we'll talk more about that in next week's show. Tell you when to tune in, and I don't even know if it's on Quest or anything, but again, something for next week. Talking about Eurosport, by the way, I forgot to do my rant earlier regarding their on-demand player. Now, if you are like me and tried very much to catch up and missed the live World Superbike showings live on the telly or the streaming, whatever, and you thought, that's okay, I've got a subscription to Eurosport and their on-demand player that I got from an introductory £20 a year. I'll just catch up on demand in my own terms on a Saturday afternoon, catch up with what happened on Saturday. Then you were sorely disappointed, weren't you? Yes. I say that because that's what I tried to do, catch up with the live racing that I missed. So it's not exactly on demand, is it? So just put a rant, since everyone else does rants and it's rare for me to do a rant. That was my little rant anyway. So Eurosport on-demand player, and yes, I mean, yeah, you can still stream it live, and their live streams are good, and they can tell you when it's scheduled to be streamed live, but that's kind of not the point of an But I did check before we went on air, and it is all on there. All 3 races from the previous round and nothing from the rest of 2019. So there you go. Perfect example of just...
Well, yeah, I get your point, because, for example, MotoGP, as soon as that's done, it just tends to be up on the BT Sport website.
Yeah.
Right away. So you get to watch it if you've missed the day's action. So as soon as you come home at night...
BT Sport, literally.
Yeah. So, yeah, you get to live stream the race. And it's great because it gives you like wee icons at the bottom of the bar of what's happened, or like it's a wee, for example, a explosion type thing, which means someone's crashed, or the checkered flag, which means the race is over. Anything that can sort of give you an idea of where to go to if you don't want to watch the build up or the after race. It's just the racing itself. So yeah, I don't have the subscription. I found out yesterday actually, if you've got a PlayStation 4, that you can actually download the Eurosport on-demand service as an app on it. So if you've got that, and if you've got the Eurosport on demand and you have a PlayStation 4 and you didn't know about that, then there you go. That's something you can do now.
I usually encourage that sort of behaviour, but since they're not going to bother putting race replays on demand, I mean, how much do we love BSB to get Eurosport Player and a subscription to Eurosport? Because, I mean, we don't even know if the BSB race is going to be on demand, do we? We don't know now, because...
I demand this race is shown right now, and it's not even on for 4 days afterwards.
Because not everybody, honestly, I mean, let's be honest, not everybody is because they've got lives and stuff and work and family and yada yada. Some people are just not able to watch all of the races live when they're broadcast or when they're happening. So an on-demand player, almost straight away after it's been broadcast, is extremely useful. And that is literally the reason why some people subscribe to an on-demand service. Anyway, tune into Eurosport's fantastic coverage of the BSB Championship next weekend and for the rest of the season. Right,
yes,
moving on.
But if you want to watch it afterwards, then you might have to wait 4 days.
Or just do what normal people do and record it on your Skybox or /SkyQ player thing. Do that, I'd recommend, for a properly reliable on-demand service. Anyway, moving on. That was my... it's rare for me to have a rant on the shows. It's usually the domain of a certain former co-presenter now residing in Spain. But anyway, so BSB, we're looking forward to it. It's going to be fantastic. We're already super late. I'm really sorry if you've been tuned in for like over 2 hours. We'll stop. We'll speed things on a bit. Moto America on the show now. And yes, what is Moto America, Liam?
Moto America is basically the BSB equivalent of the racing in America. That's the best way of summing it up.
Anything is better or as good as BSB. Tell me more.
To be honest, years ago when it used to be the AMA Superbike Championship, when Matt Mladen and Ben Spies were on the Yoshimura Suzuki, they just ran away with it, and it was rubbish, really. But now that Wayne Rainey has come over and sort of taken it over, rebranded it Moto America, the racing's really good. You've got fantastic racers in there. You've got Moto2 world champion Tony Elias over there mixing it up with the likes of Cameron Beaubier. Now, if you don't know who Cameron Beaubier is, this is a fun fact for you.
Oh yeah, he
was once Marc Marquez's teammate in the 2009 KTM Red Bull KTM and 125 class. So
who doesn't know that?
Not a lot of people. I'm pretty sure most people did, actually, but I just like throwing that wee fact out there. So, yeah.
Good fact.
So he had a very tough teammate, and he wasn't too bad in the 125 class. So he came back over to America, worked his way up the classes, has become champion, most recently in 2018. Tony Elias was battling out in 2016, all the way up to this year. He started winning again. He won it in 2017, and both Elias and Cameron Beaubier took the spoils at the weekend, winning race 1 and race 2, but it wasn't easy for them. They had to fight off 6 riders, or 4 other riders within each race. So Moto America is a series that you get to see the likes of just not American riders coming through the field, and maybe you could potentially get to MotoGP, but you've got the likes of foreign people as well. For example, Matthew Schultz, you might remember that name. He was racing Moto2, He's over there, managed to take a second place in race 2 over to Road Atlanta. And it's a series that could rival some of the racing in BSB. I'm not saying it's as good as BSB, but what I'm saying is
I think you did earlier. I think you definitely, those words happened, I think.
No, I didn't say that. Said it can be just as good, but you never know. Yeah, so...
Because I believe Stuart Higgs has some involvement or some consulting role, or
yeah,
I'm not sure.
I believe he helps out occasionally. For example, they'll be running at Kota this weekend alongside the MotoGP paddock. So they'll be racing on Saturday and Sunday. And I believe that he goes over there to help out with the MotoGP and obviously the Moto America class as well. So
because that would definitely explain some of its success, at least.
Yeah, absolutely. The Moto America scene is slowly taking off with the likes of Tony Ellis over there, who's a multiple Grand Prix winner who beat Valentino Rossi in one of the closest finishes of all time in Portugal in 2006. If you remember that race, it's amazing. If not, you should go check it out. It's one of the best races ever. Then he's out there challenging week in, week out for race wins, keeps it exciting. Tony Ellis basically... He was the Marc Marquez of his day, riding style-wise. Marc Marquez's style looks the equivalent of Tony Ellis's riding style. So it's a fantastic championship. It's getting better and better each season. It's getting closer. And Road Atlanta, some of the American circuits are incredibly quick and terrifying to watch. For example, Road America, Road Atlanta. They go to
Laguna Seca.
They go to Laguna Seca. Yeah, they're there when World Superbikes are there. So they go there as well. So they run alongside MotoGP and World Superbikes. The only thing I would love is one day, for example, I think it was like the Trans Am series. I think it was about before I was about. And what happens is people from America and Britain would either go over to America or come over to the UK, and they would race each other to see who was the best. I believe that usually it was Americans that would come out on top, but it'd be great to see those championships combine a couple of times throughout the season, just so you could bring some of the American riders over here and take some of the British riders over to America, and they race it out to see who's the top of the Superbike domestic series. So, unfortunately, there's only one issue with the Moto America series: is it's not broadcast.
Oh, that was my next question, actually.
Was it? Yeah,
yeah. Because well, it's not on any schedules that I've not bothered to watch.
Yeah, basically the best way you can find it is on YouTube about a week after the event is done. So I know you had a rant about Eurosport, but I wish it was on Eurosport because it's great racing. And I do love watching American motorsport series. For example, IndyCar, sometimes NASCAR, sometimes. Moto America would be one of those ones you get to watch late at night after MotoGP, World Superbikes, BSB's done, and then you get to look forward to Moto America.
Yeah. It's Anthony Davis been on and said it was the Transatlantic Trophy you were thinking of.
That's it, yes.
Yeah, what did you say it was? The Trans Am?
The Trans Am, yes.
Which
I think that was a racing car or something like that. Or
car thing, and
yeah.
So it was, yeah. Thank you, Anthony.
Sorry.
That it's before his time anyway, you know. But yeah, maybe something like that, or maybe something like. Do you remember anybody who dipped their toe in like car racing and stuff? I don't know, should stop mentioning that. But there used to be something called the A1 Grand Prix, and they used to race like, it was basically like a World Cup of motorsport, a proper World Cup. Like you had different teams representing different countries, and it would be like New Zealand would win a race, etc., with their rider, driver, or whatever it was. And then Great Britain would win a race the following weekend, and then so and so. What about it? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but is there something like that already in bikes? And if not, why not? Should there be?
No, there's not. And I remember A1GP being a big success for a period of time. I think it lasted, 5 seasons?
Yeah, it was big for a few years.
It was enjoyable to watch. And
could something like the Transatlantic Trophy, or maybe involve maybe a couple of other similar regional championships, maybe like some similar thing in Europe or something, maybe, I don't know, could that be the basis of like a World Cup of bike riding or something?
I mean, yeah, for example, you could maybe take the top 3 from each Superbike domestic series around the world. So BSB, Moto America, the Spanish Championship. I don't think they run Superbikes anymore, but
Australian,
yeah, and just take the top 3 from that championship and make them all race against each other, and it would be incredible to watch. because obviously it's the three best from that season from each of the categories, and then you get to see who is actually the best and what is.
Yeah. Which country is the best? Because they did used to score them by country. So literally, you had like the country's points, and it was like Great Britain was like number one, and it wouldn't necessarily be. I mean, the drivers at the time would chop and change depending on who was available in their normal career, sort of thing. But as a side thing, they came and did like the World Cup of Motorsport, and it was good, like you say, for a few years, and it was picked up and it was on TV, and it was it's kind of like the same level as like Formula E is now. It was on that sort of level, really, in terms of like recognition and races to watch, I suppose. So I think I might have just invented a decent championships, and I'm going to task Stuart Higgs to make it a success. So and I'll just take the credit for coming up with that. So,
well, fingers crossed Stuart Higgs is actually watching this or listens back to it some way or another, and then he can go, you know what, that's a great idea. I think I'll invent that.
He probably doesn't like it when we say nice things about him, so he doesn't bother. So, hello anyway, if you are tuned in, Stuart, and anyone else from BSB who's getting ready to make the first round at Silverstone a big success, as we know it will be. But yeah, definitely look into that if Dorna don't object too much. So I don't know why they would, but whatever. Just saying. Maybe we could start up a motor. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Okay.
Motorsport Radio, Superbike Challenge or something.
Basically, because the Motorsport Radio World Cup of Motorsport. We should do that.
That sounds cool. I like that. Go for it. Let's do it.
Or maybe, cause I'm guessing if maybe we could do like an unofficial championship and add up all the riders' points representing their. But I suppose it'd be Spain winning every time, wouldn't it? Maybe.
Yeah. Well, maybe not. The BSB paddock is a very strong paddock. Great riders. Moto America is now proving how good that paddock is. We've got the Italian Championship, which produces great riders as well. So it'll definitely be worth something trying to. And I don't think every year that would be the Spanish or the Italians winning it. I think it would vary year on year. Depending on who's in the class.
Really? Are we just like... Anyway. So, yeah, Moto America, what we were talking about briefly. I
will try and find a way of being able to watch it live for next week's show. I'll try and find out a bit of information about that.
That is your mission. Find out how we can tune into it live when it's on, because it might be, as you said, a good time in the evening after MotoGP has been on, and then you can go and watch Moto America, just like I do with IndyCars, for example.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, keep an eye on Moto America. And CEV Championship as well. Yeah, that happened. That was pretty interesting, wasn't it? And that made the news as well. And I was busy at Silverstone, as I mentioned earlier, but in between some of the races that we were watching, we did manage to live stream some of the powerboat racing. CEV weekend. But yeah, definitely some. Who was looking? Well, you tell us anyway, Liam. What was going on?
Yeah, so I tuned in just before work on Sunday and literally looked at it and going, is this seriously going to start? Basically, in Estoril in Portugal, if you never got to saw it, it was a downpour, raining cats and dogs, as Toby Moody used to say in his live coverage. And it basically was, if you remember China 2005, Donington 2005, it was, and a couple of races from 2002, Rio, for example, Estoril, for example, it was underwater pretty much, and they still went and let these crazy kids go out racing in it. The European Talent Cup were the first class to go out in it. And
do you remember Donington last year? Did you mention that? When it was like literally underwater and
Silverstone, you mean?
Silverstone as well, but the first round in Donington, BSB, and I think the Talent Cup race there as well, I think, as their first round, the British Talent Cup, I mean, and it was similar monsoon conditions. I think I'm remembering right.
Yeah, they ran on the Saturday but didn't do the Sunday. But yeah, in the European Talent Cup, they went, you know what? You just go for it. You do you. On you go, guys. So basically, the race started, wasn't red flagged at all. It went to its finish, and it was an incredible ride by Fenton Seabright, who is going to be racing in the British Talent Cup this year. So he was making his European Talent Cup debut, I believe, in 2019, and he was challenging. He came through the field, started second, came through the field after a so-so start, and Ivan Ortola, the Spanish rider, 14 years old, making his debut in the class, got away at the front, ran off by about 5 seconds, and as soon as Fenton Seabright got into second spot, lap on lap, he just took a little bit of time out of Ivan Ortola, and then with about 5 laps to go, caught him. There was a bit of a battle between them at some points of the track. Ortola was quicker than Fenton Seabright, but towards the final lap, Fenton Seabright was brilliant coming at the final corner every single lap. Held the tight line and just got a better run onto the straight compared to Ortola. So coming at the final corner, got a run on Ivan Ortola, was in front of him as they came to the start-finish line. Ivan Ortola got the slipstream, came out. They both went across the line side by side. They both went to cross each other, and they collided as they came across the line. And yeah, it wasn't great at all. First thing you think is, oh God, that's a big one. And you think Fenton Seabright's okay. But Fenton Seabright is flying down the road at 120 miles an hour on his back. He's got his arms up in the air going, what just happened? I'm pretty sure I just won the race as well. So unfortunately for Fenton Seabright, he didn't win the race. He lost out by 1/100th of a second. So it was so close. He fully deserved it.
The bit on social media that I saw, actually. I think that was the bit of the race.
Yeah, I was being a bit naughty at work by actually skiving off work to watch that race because it was just an absolute classic race. So yeah, that got to watch that live, and I feared for him for a second because he was kind of slowly heading towards the wall and the pit wall, but unfortunately came to stop before he got anywhere close to that. And it was all over social media. It was a bit like Romano Fenati slamming on Stefano Manzi's brake at Misano last year. It was all over social media in the news. It's great to see that something like the CEV Championship can even make the news over here. So I know it's not for the right circumstances, but at the same time, it gives it a bit of publicity and makes you take a recognition of the championship and these riders. And of course, Fenton Seabright just done himself a power of good, managing to challenge for the win, and unfortunately just missing out on it. When it dried out, as the day went on, the rain eased off and it dried out eventually. And for race number 2, it was run more or less in the dry, and he then managed to finish in 10th spot. Coming over to the Moto2 very quickly, Nicky Tully, you might remember he was in Moto2 in the World Championship last year, managed to win one of the races, won race 1, managed to finish second in race 2. Jari Montella unfortunately crashed out while leading the race, and that would have been Speed Up's first ever win in Moto2, so he missed out unfortunately in that one. Edgar Pond managed to take second spot in the first race and third spot in the second race, and we also had Alessandro Zarconi. He managed to win race number 2 there, so it's great for him. Sam Wilford was in the class, managed to score a point in his first ever outing in the Moto2 class in 15th, but just missed out in 16th in race 2. In the Moto3 class, you had Barry Baltus, or Baltus, I think it is. Barry Baltus winning ahead of Xavier Artigas and Jose Garcia in the Moto3 class. And it was a battle towards the end, but with about 5 laps to go, Barry Baltus took a commanding win. I say commanding win, it was about 1.4 seconds, so he managed to bridge that out. Yeah, but for Moto3, we know that 1.4 is a bit of a commanding win. So he managed to take that ahead of Xavier Artigas, while Jose Garcia came across the line just over 4 seconds further behind. Max Cook got points in his first ever race with the British Talent Team.
Very good.
Yeah, 13th spot. So he was involved in a massive scrap for 12th, which went from 12th spot down to 16th. He managed to come home in 13th, which was pretty good for himself. And the 2018 Moto3 champion, Ralph Fernandez, his brother Adrian was making his first start in the class, but unfortunately had to start from pit lane because his bike wouldn't start. So yeah, that's pretty much all from the CEV, who won the races, who done well. Unfortunately, some of the incidents weren't too great, but the next round will be coming up in a few weeks' time at the Ricardo Tormo circuit, I believe.
And what's the latest with the British Talent Cup?
The British Talent Cup, they were riding, testing at Valencia, the Ricardo Tormo circuit, for 2 days. Dry weather there. Scott Ogden took the first honours in testing. He finished 0.013 ahead of Cameron Horseman, who's looking good for this season, and Fenton Seabright finishing in the third, a further 10th further back. So he's doing that along with his European Talent Cup. And Jamie Davies, Jack Hart were next up in 4th and 5th, with Brian Hart, Charlie Farrer in 7th, Rhys Irwin, Jack Nixon, and Charlie Atkins, not Aikens, Charlie Atkins completing the top 10, and they were all covered by 1.2 seconds. So far in testing, it looks like it might be a little bit closer. I don't want to jinx anything, but it looks like it might be closer between the whole field, or at least the top 10, than it was maybe the whole of last year.
Interesting. Yeah, a lot of names there that you mentioned that came through or might still be in some way slightly involved with the Cool Fab Racing British Mini Bikes Championship. So best of luck to all of the Cool Fab riders and former riders, of which there are many now dominating the British Talent Cup. And still good to see some Brits doing well in the CEV also as well. So anyway, that brings an end to the long edition of the Superbike show, even though once again we didn't actually think it would go on this much. Sorry about that, but well done if you've kept tuned in to us for 2.5 hours. Oh my goodness me. Yeah, pretty good going, I suppose.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, we'll be doing all this once more, back again, I believe, hopefully, maybe next week. Will we be back next week? Yeah, next Thursday.
Yeah, back next week.
Well, we will be previewing the proper full preview of the BSB Championship, and getting into exactly who's doing well, and also taking your predictions and encouraging you to check out the Superbikes Challenge app as well, because that is open for business. If you don't know what it is, well, it's available on all the good app stores right now. Check it out. It's a free game to play, and it's literally what you think it is. It's a predictions game, but every round in BSB there will be winners, prizes to give away, and it's totally free to play. Best of all is that it is totally free to play, and you can access it and play with your friends. They don't harvest your data. So they don't sell your data. It's all totally private, and I don't even know how they're making money from it, to be honest. Well, I don't think it is. Anyway, but yeah, basically, it's a totally free game to play, and we'll be getting into that a lot more next week. Check it out on the website. You can even play online if you don't have a smartphone, but who doesn't have a smartphone these days? Check it out anyway. Totally free, and you can invite your friends, and we'll even keep up to date with how the top 10 are getting on season long, and also who's won prizes, etc. So that'll be good, won't it, Liam?
Absolutely, I'm looking forward to it.
Definitely.
It's going to be hot-paced action up the front and BSB and on the app. Defo.
So check it out already. Loads of time yet to get involved. And superbikeschallenge.co.uk. I think it's the website. But Google it anyway. Just put in Superbikes Challenge. And we'll be getting much more heavier into that and making it a regular feature here on the Superbike Show. It's a nice coincidence, isn't it? So anyway, that is it for another fantastic show. Thank you very much, Liam, and everybody who's tuned in and commented on the various streams. And we'll look to do it all again next week on the Superbike Show. So be all good, won't it?
Absolutely. Looking forward to it, Lester.
Exactly. Thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll be back again on Motorsport Radio.
The Superbike Show on Motorsport Radio.
Hey everyone, Bradley Smith.
Hi guys, I'm Danny Buchan.
Hi, I'm Tom Sykes.
This is Motorsport Radio.
Nobody plays some.